Good evening and welcome to His Word is True, episode 5. Today we have a testimony by PJ Cruickshank and we're joined by Michael Kahn. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
And of course, PJ. If you'd like to
All right,
begin.
guys. Yes, well, I'm just on camera just to say hello, but I'm going to come off camera just to show you that I'm real, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all
Let's
know you're
start.
real.
I am real. Noodle napper,
Hey,
look. Noodle napper.
yes. So anyway, before you start,
Oh, yeah, Michael wants to say something before I start. Yeah, that's right. Hello?
hello, can you hear me?
Oh, you're there. You're there. I thought
Yeah,
you disappeared.
I was getting hectic feedback then for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, was you?
Yeah,
Everything
but
all right
yeah.
now?
Thanks for willing to come in and do your testimony, PJ. I've heard it, and
No.
I know it's not an easy thing. We have testimonies, and they're not always nice testimonies. The road to God isn't
Mhm.
always a pleasurable one.
No,
So thank
it's not.
you for coming on and doing that. I just want to say a few words. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to be on a platform where we can speak to other people. And I know PJ is coming on to do his testimony. I pray that you give him courage and take away those fears he's got, because talking about these things aren't easy, and it's not an easy thing to do when you know you're speaking to a live audience. I, I pray you send him courage and strength, um, and I just pray that anybody who listens to this hears this testimony, because testimonies are brilliant for waking people up and bringing people closer to God. So I just pray that you open ears and you guide us in all truth. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Didn't you want
just
to show
quickly
that?
want to,
Thing?
yeah, I just quickly want to show this before you start. So it's called Bible Verses About Testimony. Our personal testimonies hold tremendous power. They reflect the transformative work of God in our lives and then can inspire and encourage others. The Bible emphasizes the importance of sharing our testimonies as a means to glorify God and build up the body of Christ. So I'm just going to share this in chat. Anybody wants to look at it, they're just Bible verses relating to testimonies. So I'll post that link in chat, and if anybody wants to look at it, they're more than welcome.
Cool. So
So
over to me then, yeah?
yeah,
Oh, you
whenever you're
still
ready,
cool?
mate.
All right, yeah. All right, I'll
Anytime you want
start.
to, anytime it gets too much, or you want to stop and have a break, just say so.
Yeah, of course. And like I say, if you got any questions, either in chat or in here, either in YouTube chat or here in voice, just interrupt and ask away. Because sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? It's my life. So if I say something, it might be you don't understand because it's me experienced or whatever. Then just ask. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
no
There's
worries.
Matthew Eastman. Hi, dude. Good to see you, man. Right, yeah. All right. Early life. Well, I was born in Aberdeen, up in Scotland in 1976. Parents, William Gordon Noble, Cruickshank, my dad, and Leslie Carol Royal. Well, Cruickshank at the time. Well, she didn't marry my dad until I was 2. But yeah, my mum's called Leslie Royal. That's her name, Leslie Carol Royal. 1976, up in Scotland, Aberdeen, but was from a town called Fraserburgh, which is a fishing town sort of thing. So early life, yeah, it was just not normal. My dad worked, my mum worked as well, sort of thing. I went to school, primary school, and that. Early primary school was all right. A bit later, primary school, we didn't. I don't know why. My dad worked, and he seemed to get quite a bit of money. I remember I did overtime that, but we never seemed to be have any money for anything. So like, not like for good stuff, like brand stuff, like what people were like if someone was well off in school, they used to take the mickey at you because you
Yeah,
ain't got
well,
their good
I
traits
mean,
and stuff.
back in that, like, early 80s and stuff, like, um, there were a big divide, weren't there, before between like your working
Yeah,
families and your rich families. Like everybody who I
that's
went
it.
to school were all the same as me. We were all poor. You know what I mean? I come from a mining
Hmm.
village. But
Exactly.
yeah, there were a big divide in England, between your average working person and like a rich family.
Yeah, and like you say, it was the 80s, and that's when I was at school in the 80s. I was born 76, so 5 years later, I started school in 81. That's when I remember getting the strap once for leaving the school, and it was snow right up to my waist. So me and my mate Christopher Cow,
Can
we
you
got that.
explain? Yeah, can you explain to everybody what strap is? I mean, in England, not
Oh,
Scotland, we called it cane.
or the cane or the strap. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, the strap was more like a belt, a leather belt. And you either got the strap or the cane, or actually they could use the hand as well. So I remember getting that once for leaving school one way at night time after school finished, and we went to play in the snow to a park, and it had a helter skelter a chute, we call it. You call it a slide down here, a chute we call it. Well, it's a spiral chute, so you used to play in that. But we got caught after school by the police then. And I remember going to the police station, saying they was trying to scare us, about because we wasn't running away, it was just playing after school. But they were trying to scare us to say, look, you've got to go straight home, sort of thing, that kind of thing. So the police
Well,
were
so
saying, I remember,
you sort of got punished at school for something that you did after school.
yeah, exactly. I remember the police even saying, trying to scare us, saying, well, you've done wrong. Who's going to go to jail first? And me and my mate both crying. It was him. Do you know what I mean? It's his fault. It was his idea, sort of thing. They're trying to scare us. And then,
I think they
yeah,
just stopped cane when I started.
yeah, that's
So like,
what that's
I've
yeah,
never had cane, but I have had hands on with teachers, like with a punch you and slap you around the head and throw stuff at you, that kind of thing.
exactly. Um, But yeah, so the next day when we got to get home and all that, and obviously you get riled and all that from your parents. But the next day at school, I got it from school as well. So I got we call it strap cane. Can't remember what it actually was, but we called it that. There was them kind of choices. Not that you got the choice. What do you want, the
It,
strap or the
it were
cane?
like it were like a whipping stick, like a
Yeah,
thin cane where they should
yeah,
wrap you over bare hand
it,
or
it's right.
across arse, like
Yeah, across the bum. Like it used to be tapered.
yeah.
I mean, that's my early school. So I remember getting that across my bum. I was going over the knee and it was over my bum.
I mean,
I
it's
remember it
quite
being done.
ruthless. Like you won't. I mean, you won't want it doing as an adult, would you? Like really?
No, corporal punishment. It was like, wow, it's something that they could actually, but biblically, it's okay. But I mean,
Mm.
it's Old Testament. It's what spare the cane, spoil the child. You know what I mean? You're meant to be chastised and
I mean,
corrected.
like like kids all said to a teacher these days, like, you touch me, I'll get you done, sort of thing. Like, but back in there, it were accepted and welcomed by parents, and
Absolutely.
I think like sometimes some of the things that go off in this world today are because there's not that thing happening when
No,
like at
there's no
school and
discipline.
like
There's no discipline.
there's no discipline. Kids can just
No.
like they even say it to the parents, "You touch me and I'll get you done." Do you know what I mean? It's like
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You could divorce your parents, which is ridiculous. I mean, so yes, people have got bad parents. They don't want to be with them. I bet it's a weird. You can't divorce who you biologically come from. It's just they've taken the Ten Commandments from the Bible and that's used them as a guideline, and then things have derived from it. Different laws not have derived from it, and they've sort of like bastardized it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's when the cane and the strap finished in sort of 90. I had it in 1981 or 82. I think it was 81, and then after that it was gone. It was abolished, sort of thing. So yeah, I didn't do that again. But yeah, just a normal childhood, I suppose. Used to play about, but I kind of always felt different. I never had a problem believing in God when everybody else has no such thing as God.
so,
And
um, yeah. Let me just cut in. So, like, were your parents religious? Were there any
no, no,
like
no, no,
teaching at home
no,
about God?
no. I was got to get to that. No, my mum and dad. My mum came from a Catholic family that didn't really. My mum's from Coventry, where I live here. So obviously there's Irish and that all the way back, sort of thing. I don't know. Probably I don't know my family heritage well, but my mum's dad was called Josiah, which is who I'm kind of named after my dad. I'm called Paul Joe. That's where the PJ come from, which is hyphenated. It's one name. It's not just Paul. So hence PJ. But my mum wanted to call me after my granddad, Josiah. And my dad said, no, it's a biblical name. He's not getting called that because he wasn't a believer or anything. And then my sisters called me Paul. So like I got Paul, and then because he didn't want Josiah because it sounded biblical, I got named Paul hyphen, and got the Josiah got put after that, but they shortened it to Joe. So that's why it's just J-O. Yeah. So it derives from Josiah though. But it was just funny that my dad said, no, I'm not giving a biblical name. And then I end up with two biblical names, two names that's in the Bible anyway. Paul and shortened Josiah, King Josiah from the Old Testament. He's not written about much in the Old Testament, but he was a good king, definitely a good king. So they were not religious at all. My dad didn't believe at all. My mom probably believed, but didn't follow. We didn't go to church. The only time I went to church was with school. We did the morning prayers and that. And that would only be on the occasions like Christmas or Easter, stuff like that. I didn't go to church as a family or as a believer.
Did you have like when I was in junior school, you used to have assembly every morning. We used to do Lord's Prayer in assembly every morning, and sometimes even in the afternoon as well. Did you not have that? No.
No, well, the school I was in was smaller school, kind of smaller school. So we had that, but it was just in our separate classrooms, and we prayed in the morning in the classroom sort of thing. I might have had that in my first primary school where I got the cane, but I moved a couple of years later when I was 7 to a little village outside Fraserburgh called Sandhaven, and they definitely didn't do that because that was a tiny school. It was just in classrooms sort of thing. But yeah, they didn't believe at all. Like I said, just went to church on occasions with the school and stuff. But I never had a problem believing God. To me, it was obvious there was a God. I just didn't know him. I didn't know how to follow him. I didn't know nothing about God. But when you heard about him, it was But
So did you you had you did nativity plays when you were?
Yeah, we did that in school and stuff like that. I remember being a sheep, jumping over into the next pen and stuff. Remember stuff like that. But yeah, that was with school. And when people where I'm from, when you went to church and that, they're called good living people. That's what we call them, good living sort of thing. So when it's like you're working class and you look at the good living, it was kind of like, they weren't laughed at or anything. It was just seeing that they had something that we don't. They're kind of like above. They were a better kind of family or something like that. That's what you perceive it as because they were called good living, you know. But like I said, no problem believing in God. I just didn't know how to follow.
What, so are you saying like it were frowned upon for like working people to go to church?
Yeah, it kind of was because nobody in that kind of era, or like the family and the time I was from, nobody kind of that I knew, apart from my granny, is when went with my uncle because he was a Jehovah's Witness. My uncle Terry. That's the only kind of thing that happened in my family with church. My granny went now and again with him, but even her, she wasn't a constant churchgoer or anything like that. It's just with family on occasion with my uncle Terry. But yeah, you're right. It kind of was. It was kind of frowned upon, or kind of like, oh, they're above us sort of thing. But you didn't have a. It was kind of like a slight grudge against them, not me, but like parents. I think that's how I kind of perceived it anyway. So yeah, kind of, I would say, frowned upon that way. But like I say, no problem believing in God. I used to think things like how the world's made and how can it be round and stuff like that. So, we'll come to flat earth and that later. But I used to think about things like that and just accept it was a globe because it said so. I didn't know nothing about the Bible.
Yeah, because that's what they tell you at school, isn't it? You know.
Exactly. I was in school. It's just you're taught that straight away. So it's indoctrinated into your mind and that straight away. I do believe it. When we went to school, everything we learned at school, apart from basic stuff, your maths and English, which you needed, history, modern studies, and all that, they're just all full of crap, full of lies. Some of the history is true, but I don't believe it's all true, sort of thing. But yeah, what was I? Yeah, so.
And were you in mindset to question things like that when you were at school?
Absolutely. I accepted it. I didn't understand it, but I accepted it. I used to think about Like, where did we come from? I didn't understand. I remember early life thinking about death, and I didn't understand death. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how you could not be here. Do you know what I mean? It was things like that went through my mind, and it made me think I was different, because none of my friends or anything used to believe in God. They just believe what their parents believe. It's like, no, there's no God, sort of thing. But we prayed at school and all that, and we used to think, well, I just thought everything was like a contradiction, and it was just because of that. It made me feel as though like I was different, and I did get bullied a bit because of the clothes situation, stuff like that. I didn't have brand new clothes all the time. I got hand-me-downs from other families that my family knew, stuff like that. That was just normal to me. We didn't like it, but it was normal, sort of thing. And we were bullied for it, people like that. So I did go through a bit of bullying. So especially in secondary school. So, but in primary school, when I got to like primary 7, which you guys down here would call year something. Well, primary 7 to me is the year in primary school before you go to secondary school. And then I'm in first year. But you carry on the year. You just go year 8, year 9, year 10. We go from when we go to secondary school, we start in year 1, sort of thing.
Yeah, when I started secondary school, it was year 1, but then like when I got to about third year, they changed it then to like 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Right, got you. Yeah,
In America, they start at sorry.
That's all right, come on.
In America, they start at 6, I believe, so it might be 4th grade for 10, 5th for 11, something like that.
Yeah, I think below secondary school, like your junior school, what we call it in UK, it'll be like 6, 5, 4, and 3, I think. And then when you get to secondary school, your first year is year 7, and then it goes up to 11.
That's right.
That's why I did. Yeah.
Right. Right. So primary school, primary 7, that bullied a little bit there. Especially like in that year, that's when my mom left my dad, and she just left it. My little brother, he was 2 years. Right. Yeah. Sorry. I've got let's say my family part first. I've got a younger brother, 2 years younger than me, and 3 at the time when I was younger. Now, obviously, I've got a younger brother, and I had five sisters, 3 older sisters to my dad's first wife. So they're my half sisters. You know, my dad had three daughters to his first wife. She died. He married my mom 2 years after I was born. So I suppose I was born out of wedlock. You could call it a bastard. But my brother, he was in my mom's belly when they got married. So he's not one. But he used to call me.
Funny you should mention that though, like, because I come from a broken family. Like, last time I saw my dad, I was 2, so I ain't even got a memory. But I used to get that thrown at me at school, like, "Oh, you ain't got a dad, you're a bastard," you know, that sort of
exactly thing. That kind of thing. Like, so yeah, my mum, she left my dad. Obviously, my dad was he was the worker. Obviously, like I said, my mum worked as well, but my dad was the one who worked hard. I hardly ever seen him, to be honest. But sometimes he'd have a drink at the weekend, and he'd have 3. When he got drunk, he'd have 3 attitudes. He'd either be generous, giving out his pennies to us, his money, and all that. He'd either be like he's what's a seething pig, where he'd be such a temper and stuff like that when he drank. Not all the time, but when something changed his mind, he always thought my mum was cheating and stuff like that when she wasn't. I only find this out later on in life. I didn't know as a child that these things were kind of. I knew about what my older sisters and that were saying, but I didn't really put it all together till later on. So yes, so my mum, she shouldn't have done it this way. And I had my little sister. She was for a while. It was just my 3 older sisters, and I had an adopted brother who was my sister's half brother. So he wasn't really blood to me, but he was my adopted brother because my dad adopted him. And like they're way older than me. My older sister, older than me. She's 15 years older than me. She's now died. She died.
And you all live together?
Yeah, we all lived together. Yeah, absolutely. We all lived. I remember living together. I remember being 2-year-old because I remember my brother being born, and going to the hospital and giving my mum chocolates and flowers. But when he came home, I got jealous and went in the mood and hid under the sink, kitchen sink sort of thing. So like, I can't remember that part, hiding under the sink. I remember him being 2, my brother being born, but I don't remember hiding under the sink. I was told that bits later on, sort of thing. So yeah, my brother was 2 years younger than me. Three older sisters. Who the oldest one that was older than me was 15 years older, but the other two sisters are only like 5 years difference between her, sort of thing. So they're all in their late 50s and 60s now, except my older sister who died last year. So yeah, we all lived together. And my adopted brother Derek, who was a fisherman, went to see that. We all lived together in a 3-bedroom house, sort of thing. So I remember that. I remember my sisters coming in the 80s with a sprayed punk Mohican hairdo. My dad chasing him around the bedroom because he hated it, and they're running away from my dad because they'd Mohican hair and sprayed it all green, pink, red, whatever. Because that was kind of big in the 80s, wasn't it? The old Mohican stuff like that, you know. So yeah, mum left. So I've got my three older sisters, a younger brother who's 2 years younger, and then my sister came along in 1986. She's 10 years younger than me. Billy Ann, I adored her when she came along. Oh, absolutely.
So,
It was,
what, to a different mother?
no. But right, so I'll explain. My younger brother Colin, and my sister Billy Ann, we are full brother and sister. So we've got the same dad and mum. My older sisters, same dad, different mum. And then I've got another younger sister when my mum left and had another kid. So same mum and different dad. So all in all, I don't call them half sisters and all that. All in all, I had 5 sisters, 2 brothers, so one full brother and adopted brother, and me, sort of thing. So yeah, 5 sisters, 2 brothers, and me, sort of thing. But like I say, when Bill Ann came along, we had our daughter. I couldn't imagine having. It was weird when I found out my mum was pregnant. I didn't think it could happen. I couldn't understand it, and I couldn't believe it. But when Bill Ann came along and had a little sister, she was so cute. I fell in love with her. She's brilliant, and to this day, she's still brilliant. She's 10 years younger than me, and she's a lot wiser. A lot wiser than me. Yeah, she came along, but when she was 1, that's when she was 1. I was in primary 7. My brother was in primary 5. So I was 11. My brother was 9. But in primary school, lunchtime, our house was just across the park. So we used to go home for lunch or whatever. So my brother went home. I didn't go home that day. I just stuck around. I went home later than him. That's what it was. But he went home and he found a note. My mum had left. So I was on a note with a tenner in it on an envelope in the mantelpiece, sort of thing. And my brother came out and says, "Oh, mum's left us, took Billy Ann and left us." And I just thought he was joking. I said, "That was stupid." So, but then told me that, and I went into the house and seen that note. And it completely, I didn't understand. My mum had left. I knew that my dad was bad to her now and again. He used to, when I was saying about my dad drinking sometimes, 3 moods, either a seething pig, generous, or just chilled sort of thing. He couldn't really handle his drink, but he didn't drink. He wasn't an alcoholic at that point. It was just a weekend thing. But then when he was drunk and drank spirits, he got them things in his head. Probably told stuff by because my older sisters didn't really like my mum because it wasn't their mum sort of thing. And so obviously he used to hit her now and again in the week when he was drunk, and it was awful when that used to happen. And I love my dad, and obviously I forgive him for that. My mum did as well. But it was awful. I remember sitting in front of my mum and saying that, "Don't hit my mum, don't hit my mum." Obviously I'm Scottish, and I'd be like, "Don't hit my mum, don't hit my mum." But yeah, I was in front of her, and I remember my little brother come and join me in front. Like, "Don't hit my mum, don't hit my mum." But it wasn't like an everyday thing, but it happened every now and again when he was drunk. And I think my mum obviously just got sick of it and left. But at the time, she's my mum. When she left, I didn't understand how she could leave, and she took Billy Ann with her, and left me and my little brother, and I just didn't understand it. It broke my
PJ,
heart.
Jeff's asked a question. Do you keep in touch with all your siblings still?
Yeah, I keep my older sisters. My oldest sister Linda. We hadn't talked since 2002, and she's the one that I went to live with. Later on, you'll come to hear about it. But she died last year. I got in touch with my niece lately, and she said they've put it down to COPD. That was it. She just died. I didn't know she had COPD, but I hadn't spoken to her since 2002 because I owed her money for something, and I didn't understand that either. I mean, I was in 2002. I was what?
I bet, and like, so you lived with that sister. I bet that were a blow then to find out that she'd passed.
Definitely, because I hadn't spoke to her since 2002. But that's the point I was coming to. She said to me when I couldn't give her all the money back, and she went in some kind of mood. She could be like that. My older sisters were little, so they had little person syndrome, I think. But they were hardy. They wouldn't let anybody roll over them. They would fight men and everything. They were hardy sisters. You know what I mean? They were and I was softer than them. I'm a lot softer than them. They were fighters. I wasn't. I mean, I ended
So,
up being, but yeah, carry on.
so like what you're saying, like the last words you had with her weren't on good terms.
No, the last words I was, she
Yeah.
says, I promise in Granny's grave, because my granny died at that point, that I'll never talk to you again. And she didn't. She didn't. There was a few times we fell out through the years, and got back talking and stuff. But this time she didn't at all. But my older sisters, they don't talk to each other because of drugs and stuff. I'll come to that. But yeah, so I don't know where I was. That was
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah. My mum leaving sort of thing. Yeah, it was like I say, I was heartbroken, didn't understand it. It was like this big black hole in my heart. It was awful. It's like I can't describe the feeling. It's just I couldn't understand it. I could do nothing but cry. I went back to school, and I sat in my table and there was tears streaming down my eyes. I couldn't do anything. I didn't understand it. It hurt a lot. Even thinking about it still hurts. But yeah,
Well,
and then it comes to
this is why I was saying, like, the road to finding God ain't always a nice one, and there's a lot of despair and hurt and things
yeah,
surround it. Like,
that's it. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, I'm in touch with my brother. Obviously, I've got my two little sisters down here. My full sister and my half sister. And my half sister doesn't talk to me, but obviously my full sister does. Linda stopped talking to me. But June is like the middle older sister, and Barry. We all still talk, but I haven't talked to Barry in years. I talk to June through Facebook and stuff like that now and again because she's up in Scotland. They're up in Scotland, and I'm down here now. So yeah, and to a degree, Jeff, I keep in touch with them.
I ain't got no siblings, like, but I can imagine, like, when you all live all in different places and that, like, you do drift apart.
Of course, yeah, like my older sister got married and all that, and it was just I can't remember them all leaving, but I just remember us being there, then not, and then we moved to the little village, Sandyhaven, 2 miles out of Fraserburgh. Like I said, went to school there, all the way up to primary 7. Mum left. Like I said, really, really hard. Didn't understand it. She started coming around at weekends to see us, like a few months later, and I remember asking her. I remember saying to her, "When are you coming home?" Like I thought it was just impossible for her not to be there forever. It's a feeling you just can't describe. It's like just despair, pure despair sort of thing. It was the same feeling as like I don't know how to describe it. But it's just like it's pure like despair, big black hole in your chest, lump in your throat constantly. Your head's always going. People are saying, "Yeah, you haven't got an arm" and stuff like that, and it really, really, really hurt. And through that, and me not having much money and that, I got kind of bullied. But yeah, so because of that, my mum leaving, my dad ended up drinking a bit more because after a few months he started seeing.
How old are you at this point, PJ? Like,
Sorry.
how old are you at this point when you start drinking? Because I can remember, like, we were drinking at school at like 13.
No. I wasn't drinking at this point. No,
Right.
my dad started drinking when my mum left.
Right,
So when
your
my
dad.
mum left,
Sorry,
yeah,
my bad.
yeah.
My bad.
No, because I'm only 11 at this point. My little brother's 9. My older sisters at this point are married off. They're all, in fact, they were all married at this point. Yeah, they're all married at this point. So I'm 11, my brother's 9. Yeah, my mum used to come at the weekends. So my dad turned into an alcoholic because of it. Obviously, it hurt him. It was his fault. It was his fault my mum left. He knows that. He knows that. He knew that. He's dead now as well. But, he regretted it, I think. But it was too late. My mum wasn't coming back, She took my sister Billy Ann, but not us. And that hurt, And it was the wrong thing to do. My mum says to this day that she would have took us if there was room, whatever. She hated it. She hated the fact she'd done it. You know what I mean? I've never held a grudge against my mum. My little brother did for a while, but they're talking now as well, which is good. Took 30 years for them to talk, but
Yeah,
they're
it must
talking
be
now.
an hard thing for a mother to leave her children. It's like
Of course,
there's
definitely.
always, you could have a grudge with one parent or another, like, but there's both sides of the story, isn't there? You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
like things
that's
aren't
it.
as clear cut.
No, that's it. Yeah, so dad's drinking a little bit and ends up going out with this woman called Alice who drank all the time. She used to get called Slack Alice. Um, but she was drinking all the time. So my dad ended up drinking with her every day. And he stopped working. He stopped working because he had to look after us. And he did okay for a while. But I think that affected my dad because he'd always worked. He'd been in the army from when he was 18, and he was born in 1936. So when he was 18, it was national service. He went into the army, but because he didn't want to wear a kilt because of his legs. Well, he was a short dude, my dad, but well built. But he had skinny legs, so he didn't want to wear a kilt because his legs. So he didn't join the Scottish regiment. He joined an English regiment called the East Surreys, which is now disbanded. They're not a thing anymore. So he went to the army in England and in the 50s when he was 18, sort of thing. And then he worked after that. He worked all his life. Never seen him dad as a kid much because he was always working. Seen him at the weekends and at nights for a little bit. So I think that must have affected him as well. And that probably why he was drinking, and because the woman he went with was drinking, he ended up being an alcoholic. And so the lady that he was with, they used to come through to ours, and she had kids as well, 2 kids, Ryan and Dale. And so there was Ryan, Dale, and me, and my little brother, and my dad and her. But because she had a house and that as well, they'd sometimes go to the pub and that, obviously, and end up going to ours. So my dad ended up leaving us overnight, and it started becoming a regular thing. And her kids were there as well. So I was the oldest one.
What,
This
like
is
leaving you at home on your own, like?
overnight. Yeah. They're drinking at ours or at their friends and stuff like that. So it got to the point. Yeah. So this is when I'm like from 12, 13, 14. So I think it was by the time I was 13, coming on 14. Her kids were not where he are. I mean, I had a milk job and all that when I was 14. I'm not even at that point yet. Yeah, so her kids were through with us. And then it got to a bit like a regular thing. My dad would go overnight, but it come to I didn't used to like it, but because we didn't like me and my brother didn't like who he was with, I didn't care when he didn't come back because I hated seeing her. I hated seeing her. She wasn't. She used to speak to me like she was my mom and she had no right. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. She wasn't my stepmom. She was somebody my dad started drinking me, going me because of through the situation. And then yeah, like she there we go, leave the kids. So I was looking after my brother and my brother was 2 years younger than me. He was kind of looking after them as well, and he was old enough to do stuff and all that. But I was kind of overseeing that, so I was looking after my brother and them sort of thing. But come to a point where they wouldn't come home in days, and then would run out of food. And I had to run down to my grandmother's, who was just down the road at the time. But this is my dad's mum. And she used to slag him off for it. Like, oh, why is he not coming home? Like, you shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. So I used to go to her to ask her for a loaf of bread or something, and she would give me some food and all that. Obviously, she's my grandmother. So I had to do that. It got to the point where I didn't want him to come home. I didn't want him to come in anyway. And then because they were always out and stuff like that, then there's times the kids wouldn't be there, sort of thing. And there'd be times they'd be there, and it got to a point where they were there all the time. But then I was like kind of 14-year-old, and I had a milk job as well, which I had before school. So I had to go. I started at like 3 o'clock in the morning. 3:30 in the morning, sorry, and finished at 7:30. I had to be at school for 8:30. So like it was hard, it was hard in school. I only got a couple of hours sleep and I had to work, then go to school. We used to have to have a permit from school for that, but I never had one. I just went and did it. I did go to things like the youth club and stuff like that when I was 14 and play pool after we did milk and all that. But my dad was never, he did come home for a few days now and again, but then go again. And it become regular where we had no food and stuff, and my granny was giving us it. Come to a point where I and my sisters used to come out and see us and see my dad wasn't there. Come to a point where she was like, no, you're coming with me. So my older sister that's dead now, Linda, she took me. I was kind of her favourite brother. It's always known. And then that's what I'm saying. She cut off her nose to spite her face, because then she didn't even talk to me from 2002 until she died. You know what I mean? I never had a word with her after that. But yeah, it was well known that I was her favourite brother. So she chose me to go and live with her and her 3 kids. You know what I mean? When I was 14, and then my brother went to my oldest middle sister June and lived with her, sort of thing. So it was the better off a life sort of thing. It wasn't right. It come to a point where I think my dad got done with neglect. I didn't see it that way, but the courts obviously did or something. So yeah, we went to my sister's.
Well,
Dad still carried on.
however you want to look at it, like a 14-year-old shouldn't be looking after his other
No,
siblings and that. It is
no,
neglect, isn't it? If he
of
weren't
course.
there and he weren't providing food for you, then yeah, it is neglect.
Yeah, but like I
But
say, even before,
this is a regular thing that used to happen though, like, because I mean, it never happened to me when I was at school, but a lot of people I went to school with were in a similar boat,
exactly. Like before I went to my sister's, then we used to have, like, because my dad was always at, I ended at 14. I was looking after them, and then now and again when I had money, I'd end up having a drink. We used to drink cider and stuff like that. I was never a big drinker or like drunk all the time, but now and again I'd have a drink, because you started doing things like that when you were 14. And I was working, I had stuff to spend money. I didn't have much money, but I had a bit, so I could buy it. So I think so. We used to not want my dad and that to come back, so we could party and all that in the house. And I became a glue sniffer as well. I forgot that. I became a glue sniffer. That point, I was glue sniffing for months. Before my sister took me in. And that was kind of to deal with, like, my mum.
How did you get into glue sniffing?
I was a mate of mine. He came from Orkney. He came from the Orkney Isles, and came to live in Sandhaven. That's the village outside Fraserburgh, where I'm from, fishing village. And I became friends with him when I was 14. He was 16. So like I went to the same music, heavy metal and stuff like that. And he'd been a glue sniffer and introduced it to me. And then I introduced it to my cousin, my little brother, and that. But little brother only did it a couple of times. But I did it regular with James Freeman. It was just a thing for me. I ended up loving it. I was kind of, you don't get physically addicted to it, but it was something I craved, even at 14. But you could stop just like that. You wouldn't have any withdrawals or stuff. But there's people knew, because you always end up having scabby lips, spots where you were sniffing through a bag. You used to put the glue in the bag and inhale, do you know what I mean, through the bag, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was doing that for a while. But then went to my sister's. I was staying with my older sister Linda. My brother was staying with June. I think June fostered my brother, so she'd get the money for him. But my sister Linda didn't. She just took me in. She was my legal guardian, and she was with someone at the time who was working. So it was all cool. It was okay until I was like 15. Stuff like that.
And
I mean,
were your sister's partner all right with you and that?
yeah. John, yeah, he was okay. He ended up being a bit of an idiot, but yeah, he was okay with me at the time. He was sound. It was all good. I liked him. I looked up to him in a way. But when I was 15, him and my sister split up. Don't know why. Just like she was like the one that wore the trousers. You know, he was like 6 foot odd. My sister's like 4'8", and she wore the trousers. My older sisters did. The oldest one and the middle oldest one, they were fighters. But the youngest oldest sister to me, she did it with her mouth rather than her fists, you know. But she wasn't as short as the other two. But the other two was shorter. So at school they were, because they had little person syndrome, but they were hardy. People were scared of them, sort of thing. It was crazy. And they're just little sisters. They got it from my dad, because my dad was little. Broad, he was well built, but little. 5'2".
Yeah, reminds me of my grandma. You know, my grandma grew up with 15 brothers, and she was like as hard as nails, you know.
Yeah. But yeah. I was at my sister's brother was with mother sister. And like I said, till I was 15, everything was fine. I had a little few slips with glue sniffing and all that, and I introduced it to my little nephew. So my sister not hated me for it. She chastised me for it, grounded me and everything, because it's her son. Do you know what I mean? So he only did it once with me. Shouldn't have done that, but I was a kid. And like I said, when I was a kid and I had nephews and nieces all over the place that were nearly my age, it was pretty mad. And my little sister, she's a nephew, she's an auntie to all of them, which they are all older than her. It's pretty weird.
That's weird.
But it is. Yeah. So yeah, apart from a few slips and that, until I was 15, things were cool, and then my sister and him split up. And then my sister, like, yeah, she kicked him out. She didn't really care. It was him that cared, sort of thing. And so, in the time when he'd gone, like, I was still hurting, obviously, and stuff like that. Things were okay, but I started like going to town with my mate Christopher Cow. That's the one that we got lost in the snow with when I was 5, sort of thing. And now we're 15.
Did your sister splitting up with her partner? Well, did that like bring flashbacks to what had happened before, and you were like,
Yeah,
this
in a way, yeah.
this situation all over again type thinking.
In a way, it did. Yeah, in a way, it did. But I knew I was safe. Well, I thought I was safe. I was with my sister. I looked up to her. She's my older sister. I noticed Paul's put his word. Somebody's put visit Fraserburgh.com in Sandhaven. Did you have a look at them? Look at any pictures, Paul?
Yeah, I had a quick look. I just thought, in case there's any Americans or whatever listening, they might want to know exactly where you're.
Yeah. It's cool. I sometimes do it myself, so I can look at where I used to work and look at the sea and stuff, because I ain't been there for a while, sort of thing. Yeah. Where was I? He left. So, and then, yeah, me and my mate, because I ended up doing things like, because we're 15 and having a little drink and stuff like that. I had a few slips with the glue, but stopped, sort of thing. And I think I got in trouble a few times, shoplifting and that, with the police. Sister didn't like it, but it become a thing that I was doing, shoplifting and that, and getting in trouble. And then my sister, like, she was like, at that point when she was single, we kind of like started drinking together. You know what I mean? I was 15 and stuff like that. And we had a little drink now and again. And she ended up going with my mate who was 15, and my sister was like 30. And I'm like, my God, it's ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. But that split, it wasn't a long thing, sort of thing. And my sister's 30 and he's 15. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. Back then, it wasn't frowned upon, but not as what it is nowadays. She would have been called a pedo now, you know what I mean? But but and then in that time he was drinking stuff. Then she ends up, I'm getting in trouble, stuff like that with the police. End up, at school, right? I'll go to school because I was still getting bullied at school. And I got to 40 in school. I got to the end, but I used to skip a lot and all that. I didn't complete it, but I got to 4th year, which is the year you end, unless you carry on 6th and 7th year. But yeah, through school and that, I was good at school. I was all right. I was fine at my lessons. I was well. I was like, do you know what I mean? I wasn't lacking in anything, but I fell behind because I wasn't going in that. And then it got to a point where I was getting bullied so much. It was awful. I mean, it was a group of people, and I'm cowering in a corner where they're kicking and spitting on me and calling me foop, which is backwards for puff, sort of thing. They used to call me that because something happened when I was a kid, when I was a younger kid. One of my mates got naked down the beach, down the shore, and because I was with him, I got told that it was me that done that to him, and I was gay. Like, so they called me poof, but backwards, and that carried on right to secondary school.
There's nothing worse than kids at school for like harshness. You know, it's like
awful.
Some of the stuff I saw going off, and I'll be honest with you, some of the stuff I were involved in, like, because I bullied people as well, you know.
Well, I did kind of a little bit afterwards, just once when I was in prison, and I totally regretted it, because I remember how I felt. But I was getting kind of bullied in prison as well for a little bit, you know what I mean? But that's later on. So yeah, I'm still getting bullied. I'm in the corner, getting spat on and stuff like that, and it's awful. When you get spit on, then you're trying to wipe it off you, and it stinks, and you know what I mean. It hurt a lot. So I mean, I end up drinking and stuff like that, and taking bits and pieces here and there, sort of thing. And it got to the point with the bullying that I got so sick of it. And it come to the day when we go to the nurse's office to get our jobs. You remember our BCG? Is it called BCGs? Whatever. Yeah. TV job and stuff. Yeah. Come to the point. I didn't get it. Come to the point where we're going to do that. So we're waiting in the what do you call it? The nurse's office. And there's this guy coming over at me, pinging. You know, the Navika jacket. I don't know if you remember Navikas. It was like skiing jackets. Navika jacket on, which was an expensive jacket, and I've got a Capri, which is a cheaper one.
I
I mean,
can
I'm
remember.
getting.
I can remember Capri jackets.
Well, I had a red Capri jacket with a skier on the back of it, and I had bleached Flintstone jeans, and the Flintstones glowed in the dark. You know what I mean?
No wonder you were getting bullied.
But everybody wore them. Everybody wore the Flintstone ones
Yeah,
back
I
then.
know,
It
yeah,
became,
yeah, I know.
became a thing, didn't it? And
There's
then
some
every
crazy
other thing.
fashions back in 80s and early
Yeah.
90s, man.
But I had to do it the cheap way. So Capri was your cheap Navica, you know.
Well,
But I got my
I had a
own.
Capri jacket, and I thought I was the bee's knees in it, you know.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? £30 jacket, 20, £30 jacket, you're the bee's knees. And Navica's were at hundreds. Do you know what I mean? Or even back then, like early 80s, early 90s, they're 100 at least for a jacket and onwards for a
I mean,
Navica.
but back
Because
in
they
the
had
day, like
low.
when Fila trainers were like better than Nike, and you know,
Fila were brilliant, mate. Now, if you
yeah.
wear a pair of Filas, you're getting laughed at. But, yeah, I'm in the nurse's office. He's pinging his toggle from his jacket. He's got a plastic round bit in the end. And he's pinging it, and it's hit me in the head and calling me shit and that. And I just got sick of it. I just burst. I just burst, and I stood up and I says, "Outside now!" And he got shocked. So we went. He went outside though. There was no problem going outside. And my heart was pumping. I thought I was going to get killed and stuff like that. But I got sick of it, and I just started. He come towards me, and I just started punching. You know what I mean? I punched, and I grabbed him by the head, and I pulled his head down and started kneeing him in the face. I'm not glorifying violence. I have to say this for a reason. And that's the first time I ever retaliated. And he just when I'd stopped, and he looked up. No, he wasn't knocked out or anything, but he's down. And I just kept kneeing him in the face. I didn't know what to do. I punched him, and pulled down. I kept kneeing him in the face because I knew your knees hard. And I didn't know where I was kneeing him. I just knew it was in the head and the face. And when he got up, and one eye was just right out, and then oh wow. And for 3 weeks, apparently after that, he was blind in one eye for 3 weeks, which I really, really regretted. But I was bullied, and I snapped, you know. So for that, I got suspended from school, which means I could come back later on. And because I'd done that to that, when I come back, because I'd done that to that dude, his friends and all that still tried to bully me. You know what I mean? They were punching me in the lines and stuff. So I mean, I'm still scared. I'm still getting bullied, even though I'd stuck up for myself. You know. But I just wasn't as like I would say something back. Before I would just, if I got said something, I would cower. I would just walk past, get embarrassed, all that kind of stuff. Run. I used to running. I just hate it. I just felt so cowardly. Felt so cowardly when I used to run and stuff. But I wasn't a fighter back then. I was like, I didn't. My sisters and that were fighters. I don't know why. I was softer in my heart for some reason. Yeah. So I was suspended for about 3 weeks. He went blind in one eye. I heard. But he got his sight back in about 3-4 weeks, something like that, when the swelling went down and all that kind of stuff. But his eye was really, really black, and felt so bad. But they were bullying me. You know, that's what even later on in life when I fought people for what they did against me, they were like coming at me and I'd beat them, and I had to because I had to fight or whatever. But I'd feel bad for them afterwards. I'm like, I felt really, really bad, even though they were the ones. Do you know what I mean? I just had a conscience about
yeah.
things like that.
I mean, we're grown men now, PJ, and we're still getting bullied. You know, online trolls and
Exactly.
stuff like that. It's still
Exactly.
happening. Like a lot of things that I've dealt with trolls over the last couple of years through Flat Earth and that. It's like going back into school playground.
Of course.
Like
It's crazy.
you're never free from bullying in any part of
No,
life.
it's just nowadays we know how to deal with it. But when you're a kid and you don't, if you're soft and you're not doing the fighting, if you're not doing the bullying, it's just awful. It's scary. I mean, I know a lot of people have committed that thing. You know what I mean? Unalived themselves. But I never ever got to. I got to the point where I was like, oh, it was bad, really, really bad, and I didn't know how to get to it. But I was too scared to do things like
Well,
that.
yeah.
Like I said, I
Let me
still believe
tell you
in
this
love.
little. Let me tell you this little story here. A kid who I bullied at school.
Yeah.
Met him in pub one day and we're just talking to him about like, and we got on and we were having a laugh and that. And all of a sudden he pulls this little notepad out in his pocket. I says, "What's that?" He says, "I'm just crossing your name off people. I'm going to get back for bullying me."
Oh, and did he?
Like, what?
Oh, wow. Crazy. So I'm suspended for that, and it's crazy that this is mad. I should have been expelled for that, not coming back, but I got suspended for that. So when I come back to school, I'm still getting crap from people for it. But then one day, I'm standing in the dinner line. I got free school meals, so all I could get was cheap stuff. So I used to go for gravy and chips with cheese or whatever, and I used to be able to get 2 bowls of that sort of thing. And one day, my mate wasn't at that
I
school.
mean, that were a bullying point, PJ. That were a bullying point when I was at school, getting free dinners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you'd be like, "Oh, look at this guy on education, he's getting free dinners." Or like you'd have an education blazer because your mum couldn't afford a blazer.
Exactly.
They were all things
my school,
like back in junior school, you wore your own clothes, like so. The less well-off people were observant, you know what I mean. But then when you get to secondary school and you're all in a uniform, there's supposed to be none of that because you're all wearing the same uniform. But yet they had a free version of uniform that were a bit less well-made than rest of uniforms, and like blazer a little bit darker, and everybody knew that you'd got this education blazer. Do you know what I mean? So you still got picked on.
Exactly. I mean, my school was an academy. My secondary school, it was called Fraserburgh Academy, and there was a uniform, but you didn't have to wear it unless you stayed on in 6th and 7th year. No, sorry, 5th and 6th year. You had to wear your blazer with a prefect badge, sort of thing. I never stayed on. Obviously, that's what I'm getting to. Like I say, I'm suspended for it. Back at school in the dinner line, gravy and chips, 2 bowls of. My mate wasn't at that school. Same guy with the snow. I knew him all through my life, sort of thing. Well, he was, like I say, he wasn't at that school, but he was in Aberdeen. He was in a residential home, and he used to come back now and again to see his dad, sort of thing, in Fraserburgh. And to stay with his dad for a week and go back to residential when it got to that point. This is for getting in trouble. I nearly went to that place as well for being in trouble, but my sister managed to stop it. Like I say, I was under social services and things at that point, which I didn't mention. It's not like important, but yeah, I was under social services at that point. Yeah, all right, Four Jacks, how you doing, man? Sorry, I've lost track.
Chips and gravy.
Yeah. He's not at that school, but I'm getting 2 butt chips, and I'm just being kind of rebellious at this point as well. After that, I was, like I say, still bullied, but I was hanging about with him, and I was getting a little bit braver and stuff like that. And I tried to get him in. He's not at that school, you know what I mean? So he wasn't allowed there. So and I'm getting him in, and it was my fault. But was it in the dinner line? The deputy headmaster. The headmaster there gets called a rector, so the deputy rector, and he come in line and noticed that Christopher Kerr was there because he used to be at that school, and he knows he's not allowed there, so he's getting kicked out. I said, no, leave him. He's with me. I'm getting him chips, and I'm getting him chips. He's hungry, sort of thing. So he's not allowed in the school. He has to go. And I start arguing with the deputy rector and try to get him in, and I end up throwing my gravy and chips over his head, sort of thing, or at him. It went over his head. The gravy and chips went over him. So for that, I was actually expelled. But for blinding someone, I was only suspended. That's my point. It was a bit hypocritical, I should have been expelled for the violent thing, rather than that. But yeah, I was expelled for that, so I didn't get to do my exams. I'm still living at my sister's at the time, Linda, and it come to the point where I did my prelims, which you call them mocks down here. Is it mocks?
Yeah, mock exams.
Before you do your exams, yeah. But in Scotland, it's called prelims. Where I'm from, it's called prelims. So I did them, perfectly all right with all them, but then got expelled, and it came to the exams. So they said through my social services, yes, he can come and do his exams. He's expelled. He can do his exams, but he has to have his parents or guardian with him. So my sister, she was my legal guardian. She had to be with me. She wouldn't come with me. I wasn't bothered. But thinking back on it, I could have had my qualifications. It probably doesn't mean anything now, but yeah. So I didn't get any qualifications because my sister wouldn't go with me. So I didn't do them. But I dare say if I did do them, I would have been fine. I would have passed them, sort of thing. But yeah, I was expelled from then. I was 16 at that point, expelled. And I'm hanging around with Christopher Cow. And after that, I didn't get bullied as much because people thought that was funny doing that to the rector. You know, everybody spoke to me all that.
You get that reputation, don't you? Like
Yeah.
he does this to teachers, and he's been expelled and he's been suspended. And you start getting like
Exactly. People started talking to me normal now. But I remember people that used to spit at me and all that when I was bullied. And now on Facebook, like, yo, man, like they've all some of them sorted their lives out. Some of them kids died.
It's like at school, in order to gain respect, you've got to be a dick, like, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So, yeah, expelled. Still drinking now and again. Cheers, Vicky. Still with my sister. My sister ends up going with this guy called Patty. He'd come out of prison. He's a biker's dude, kind of leathers, long hair and all that. He'd just done 10 years in prison for attempted murder. So he come out of jail after the 10 years, and my sister started going with him. I looked up to him. He was biker's leathers. I was into heavy metal music and stuff like that. I kind of looked up to him. So she goes with him, and he's taking these drugs called temgesics, which is it's a buprenorphine, which they use now for getting people off drugs, which is like at the time people got a substitute for heroin. Heroin wasn't coming into my town at that time, only in dribs and drabs maybe. But he was taking these temgesics. So my sister started taking with him. You snorted him. He was injecting them. But
wow.
When he gave them to my sister, she started snorting them, and then she injects them. And I'm 15, I think. I'm 16. Sorry, just turned 16 at this point, I think. I get confused with my ages. It was 15 or 16, but I think 16. But if I say something different in another testimony, 15 and 16, it's because I can't remember the exact age, but it was that age sort of thing. But I think 16. Yeah, it would have been because I got expelled from school. I was 15, maybe when I got expelled, turned 16, and then I would have done my exams and left school. So I would think I was 16, just turned 16 or something like that.
What are you doing? Like after exams, you're 16. What you doing? Like you're not signed into college, or you haven't got you sent a job.
No.
Like you're doing just dossing, like.
Doesn't, yeah. I wasn't bothered about things like that. I did have a little paper round. I had a paper round for a bit after I did my milk when I was 14, first job. Then I had a paper round after school and stuff. But that was while I was at school. When I left school, I didn't have that job, sort of thing. And I'm 16. You think you're a grown up. You know what I mean? You left school and stuff like that. Still getting into trouble, doing a bit of glue, stuff like that. Not all the time. Getting into a bit of trouble, shoplifting. And that's when I was meant to be getting taken away, but my sister managed to stop it, sort of thing. But my mate did, because he ended up getting taken away and so on and so on. But so anyway, my sister ended up taking these temgesics, and they offered me one day. My sister didn't really like it, but not like the drug. She didn't like that I got offered, and I took it, and she said snort it, and I remember snorting it and cushion it up, snorting it, and then 20 minutes later, I felt really sick. I liked the buzz, but I felt sick. I puked once, and after the puke, it was perfect. It was like a buzz, and I loved it, sort of thing. So I was every now and again. We went out to the pub. We drank in the house. We was taking these temgesics. But he's addicted to them. He's injected them. He's addicted to them. He's been taking them longer than that. So it got to the point where I'm snorting them and not getting much off of them. I said, no, I'm not.
You were doing this before, like, I mean, not normally, like, people get onto weed first, don't they, before they start getting into. You were straight onto. You were straight onto like addictive stuff straight away.
Yeah. I mean, I smoked a little bit of hash before that when I was like 14 and stuff, but it was and we smoked now and again hash, but that was just a thing. We didn't even class that as a blooming drug. Everybody sort of done it. It wasn't a constant thing. It wasn't weed at this point. It was just hash, solid stuff. But yeah, that was just a now and again thing. and that just went with whatever you were taking, sort of thing. I get to the point where I says to him, "Yeah, I'm not getting much. Can I have a couple more or something?" He says, "Well, you can have a couple more if you want, but you could try injecting it." I'm scared. I was scared. I wasn't scared of needles. I didn't have a phobia of needles, but I was scared. I was like, "No, what's it going to do to me?" But I says, "Okay." I remember my heart pumping, being scared, thinking I was going to die. And I says, "I can't do it." And he says, "I'll do it for you." So I strap up my arm, stick my arm out, and look away. Let him do it. I didn't feel a thing, and the buzz came straight away. I was like,
So
"Oh, wow." Oh, wow.
like this is what blows my mind. He's been in prison. He's addicted to these drugs, and he's willing to show
Yeah.
like a 16-year-old how to
Mhm.
inject these highly
Yeah.
addictive drugs.
Yeah. Later on, he was giving my nephew.
Boggles
There
your
was
mind.
Yeah, later on, at the same time, sorry, because we was taking more stuff, we was taking temazepam and all that, jellies, and so we used to call them temazepam, Valium, anything like that, any
Wobbly
benzos.
eggs.
Yeah, wobbly eggs, but now they're just pills, temazepam. So we was taking that along with it, we was taking anything that was like that, any downers, uppers, we took speed, stuff like that as well. But the main thing was injecting temgesics, buprenorphine sort of thing. So yeah, like I say, I held my arm out. I didn't feel a thing, and I didn't feel the thing as in like I didn't feel the needle going in, but I felt the buzz straight. I turned to him. I said, "Is it done?" And he's like, "No, he said it's done. Sorry." And I turned to him. I didn't feel it, and he's got his finger on my arm, takes it off, and there's only a little tiny spot of blood. And I didn't even feel it. The needle was small, 1 mil needles sort of thing, and I loved it. So yeah, from then on, when I took him, I ended up injecting him. I wasn't
So
addicted.
like you loved feeling that drug give you in the first place, and then to inject
Absolutely.
it like super intensified that feeling,
Absolutely.
and that
Absolutely.
way you worked.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just like, I mean, it was the same buzz as what I got when I snorted them, when I initially snorted them. But at this point, when I injected them and then I turned to him, as soon as I turned, it was when I was talking to him, that's when I was feeling it. I felt a kind of slight rush and then straight into the buzz rather than waiting for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So from then on, that was it. But even then, when you're injecting it and you get some a bit more like you're doing it all the time, you get used to it again. So it's just the same. You're
And,
injecting more and more. You're not getting the
and
rush anymore.
this is what's dangerous, though, isn't it? Like because you have
Yeah,
to keep upping your dose in order to get the same buzz, and then you're starting getting into realms of like overdose.
that's right. That's right. So yeah, doing that. So it comes to the point where we haven't got money for anything. So I'm shoplifting, and I'm shoplifting with the guy who does it now and again. But it got to a point where he's rattling. You know what I mean? And my sister's rattling, and I go out and shoplift. You know what I mean? I'm not rattling.
Can you
I'm with my
just
mates. And
explain for anybody who's listening who don't know what
look,
rattling means?
sorry, guys. Rattling is just withdrawing from the drug. I'm not withdrawing at this point, but my sister and that guy is. And when they didn't, the party, his name was, didn't have any money in that. So I'm doing stuff. I'm doing crimes with him at night time, like doing garages, sheds, or whatever. Houses a couple of times. I did some houses now and again. When I was young, just to get money for this drug. I mean, most of the money went to them. I only got bits and pieces, even though I was doing the stuff. And obviously, I'm getting to the point
Would
where I'm
it be
getting
fair
caught.
to say they were taking advantage of you?
Oh, yeah, it got to that point. I didn't think, yeah, I would say so now. Yeah, a little bit, definitely. But I was willing to do it anyway because I wanted the stuff as well. I wasn't withdrawing, but because I didn't do it as often. But yeah, it got to that point where I'm shoplifting that again anyway and doing things. And I'm getting caught, so I'm going to court. And I remember I hate being in cells and stuff like that. And at this point, I remember like I'm praying to God. At this point, I'm saying, God. I mean, I believed He was there, but I used to do my prayers like that. Like, God, if you're real, will you please get me out of this situation? I promise I won't do it again. And stuff like that. No, you're scared of going to prison. And then you go out. You don't think anything of it. You don't think like, oh, even though you prayed, you don't think, oh, well, that was God did that for me. I kind of like use God as a when I was in trouble sort of thing. It was like I'd pray to God when I'm in trouble or in a situation. And I always started my prayers, if you're real, I mean, if you're real. I didn't know nothing about God. I just believed that He must have created this world because we couldn't come from nowhere. That was my logic. I had to be a God to be here. But I was taught evolution and all that as well. You believe that as well. That kind of confuses you because you believe in God, but then you're getting told, you're like, how can I be God and evolution? It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It kind of
It-
pushes you
yeah,
something.
like
So,
when you go to like your junior school,
mhm,
you taught all this God, all these stories, Jonah, Noah, all them things. You taught all them stories. You pray and that, and then when you go to secondary school, they start feeding your head full of things that are anti God. It's
exactly,
baffling.
exactly. It is. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, lost. Lost track. Yeah, I'm getting into trouble for this drug and stuff, and I'm getting caught, and I'm praying to God, if you're real, get me out of this situation. I got caught, held next day, got caught, and I get out on bail to do like for social inquiry reports. That's what they were called. And every time I was getting in trouble, getting caught, and getting off with it not getting off with it, but not going to jail, not going to
Yeah.
jail. Then and I'm always praying to God, if you're real. And I'm thinking, but then afterwards, you don't think, oh, it was God that got me out. Thinking back, it might have been, it's, well, it was God knows everything. So it's through him anyway.
Well,
So
you're
glory to
always
God.
like when it's going good, you're not giving him a fart, are you? But when it's bad, like you're
Right.
praying to him, like help me, like
Yeah,
I don't want to get in trouble, that sort of thing. But
exactly.
like
And,
what,
on, and,
what while
you swear to him as well. You say, look, see, I didn't know about not swearing at the time.
yeah,
You're not meant to swear on anything. It says in James 5:12. Do not swear on anything that is in heaven or earth, but
yeah.
let your yes be yes and your no
But
be no.
you do
Sort of
it.
thing.
I've done it
Yeah,
hundreds of
yeah.
times.
Do it. I don't do it now. Sometimes I go to sit and then I stop myself. But if I hear somebody saying, I swear to God, I swear on my kids, like I said, please don't swear on kids like that. But I used to do it when I was younger.
But
Swear, I swear.
how would you know? I mean, you don't know, dear. You're just being yourself. You're praying, and then you get roped back into doing other things, and you don't realize that you're like swearing to God and then going back on
Mm-hmm.
what you've sworn. You
Yeah,
don't know these things without reading Bible and stuff like.
that's
And
right.
I'm
That's
assuming like you weren't very well knowledge on
right.
Bible at that point.
Not at all. Never read it. Only had verses now and again that when I went to church on traditional things, not because of faith reason, on tradition like Christmas and Easter and stuff like that. You hear it, you hear what they're reading stuff like that, but you don't. Like I say, I believed in God, but I didn't biblically. I didn't understand. I didn't understand Jesus and Holy Spirit. I just believed in God. When I was a kid, when I did believe in God, and I used to picture him, I pictured him as a guy in a big black robe, like an old Bailey judge, like with
Uh,
wig. Stuff like that. That's how I pictured God, and that's a bit of judgmental God. That's how I kind of pictured him. I didn't see him as a judgmental God, but that's how I pictured him in my head. He looked like a judge type thing, from the
yeah.
old Bailey. Yeah, it got to the point where I'm getting off with it, but getting these little things, fines or whatever, or community services or probation, and it gets to the point where they don't give me bail. They don't give me bail because I'm getting in trouble all the time. So I get remanded, and then I'm praying to God again. I'm in prison. It's a man's jail, and where I'm from, it's a prison in Aberdeen called Cruickshank. And when you get remanded, if you're a youth, you get remanded from where I'm at into the man's jail. But if you get sentenced, then you go to YOs, young offenders sort of thing. So I'm in the man's jail and I'm scared because it's men and I'm older men. I'm 16. I'm 16 at the time, and it was near Christmas. I got I was stealing actually stealing Christmas presents and with Patty, and I took the blame. I took the blame for it, even though because he would go to jail definitely. He was on probation from attempted murder, so he'd definitely go to jail if he got caught with it. So I'm taking the blame for everything, even though I've got stuff as well. But I got caught. The reason I was in jail, I got caught stealing a Barbie doll. It was for my niece's Christmas, but it was a Barbie doll I got caught for. I got so teased for that. But Yeah, so I get remanded, which means you go to court later on to get sentencing or whatever they want to do. Yeah. So I'm praying to God then again. If you're real, please, I won't do this. I promise. This time. I mean, always this time. I won't get in trouble. So I don't like jail. It scared me, sort of thing. Please let me out off with it, sort of thing. And got 3 weeks later, I was right to jail. 3 weeks later, I go to court and I get off on community service. So then I'm out again. No credit to God. Do you know what I mean? It was always like I say, if you're real, can you do it?
And it's all forgot about again because you've not been to prison.
Exactly. Well, I went to prison, but I didn't get sentenced to sentence to go to YOs, but I was still in remand in prison. You know, but yeah. So I get out and I'm doing community service, but I get sick of the situation. You know, we partying, my sister and I, right, and we're doing drugs and all that, and I see it. I see like my life's got to go to pot, even at 16. So I end up leaving my sisters and coming down to Coventry. So I had to transfer my community service down to Coventry. So I came to Coventry to live with my mum. I'm 16 at this point. I'd already gone at one point when I was 14. I missed that when I was 14, but I'd only been there for 3-4 months. And I went to school down here for 3 months in a school called President Kennedy. President Kennedy School. So I was at that school for 3 months. But that's not an important part, because this is where I come down to Coventry and live with my mum, and I'm there. All in all, at this point, I lived there for 3.5 years. But in this 3.5 years, I come down because I'm sick of the situation. But then I come down, I end up getting a. I didn't rattle for the drugs. I didn't withdraw for them because I wasn't taking them often enough. So I got out of the situation, went to mum's. I'm not taking anything. I'll have a drink at the weekend, make a couple of beers or something, and smoke a bit of hash. You know what I mean? This is 1990. Hold on, 1993 was I? No, 1992. Coming into 93, I think I came down here. Yeah, because I'm 16. Yeah, 1992ish. I'd already been in 1990. But in 1992, I come down. I'm living with my mum, and I'm all right for a little bit. I end up getting a what's it called? YTS. They don't have them anymore. But we used to have a YTS, which was a stand for Youth Training Scheme, where you used to work in a placement. They'd place you, and you'd get paid £35 a week for being. Then it went up after a couple of years. After a year. Sorry, it went up to £40 a week. But, I joined this YTS, and I was in. My mum was with someone. Sorry, my mum was with someone. That's where my youngest sister comes from. My mum was someone called Ron. They're not together now, and that's where my younger sister Kathy comes from. So he gets me in the depot studio. My mum partner gets me in the depot studios with him. He does something else, and I end up going into the theatre downstairs. It was a studio, a little theatre, and across the road was the big theatre, Belgrade Studio, Belgrade Theatre. I was in Belgrade Studios, stroke depot studios, sort of thing. So I end up doing something that I like. You know, I was doing the lights. I got trained to do it, how to rig up the lights for a show. Operate the lights during a show, operate sound during a show, and stuff like that. And I got really into that. I loved it. I was a theatre technician, and it was really, really good. But the place I was doing it in, it had a sound studio as well, where I used to go in with my mate, and he'd recorded music and stuff like that at night time. It was brilliant. I loved it at that time. It was good. Still went to port, you know. I still got in and started doing the wrong things. But I'm still young. But I liked doing this, and I thought, well, the thing's all right. I end up not living with my mum for reasons I can't remember. And I get into it was you remember you used to have YMCAs and YWCAs for Young Man's Christian Association, where you used to get to live, sort of thing. But the YMCA and the YWCA, they're both intermingled. So they should have just called themselves YCA, sort of thing. So I was in the YWCA. And I was there for a little while, but the people I was hanging around with, sort of thing, was still taking bits and pieces. I remember when I was there, I met this guy just because some people came around called Mark. I still see him now and again. This is in the 90s. His name's Mark, and I start talking to him, start becoming friends with him. And I mentioned that I used to take Temgesics, and he was prescribed them for an accident that he had. His leg was mashed up through some kind of crash accident, and he used to get them for that. Well, because I told him I used to inject him. He's like, "Oh, how did you do that? How did you prepare that?" Because I've got some, but I says, "Well, I used to inject them." He says, and he said to me, "Well, you come to mine, like show me, not show him how to inject, and you how to do that." And I said, "Yeah, because all you do all you did with the tablets is just take the plunger out and put break. They're small tablets. You break them off, and put them in, put the plunger back in, and pull hot water from a cup." From a kettle, but put it into a cup, sort of thing. Boiling water, put it off, shake it up. It dissolves quite easily because these are actually prescribed to go under your tongue. They're called sublingual, so it goes under your tongue, and they just dissolve and go into the bloodstream. But so when you put them in water, they just dissolve straight away, sort of thing. So the hot water dissolves straight away. You put in a cup of cold water just to cool it a bit, and I showed him, and he says, all right, do you want some? I says, I haven't had them for a while, but yeah, I ended up taking them, and then I became a little bit regular with him. He stopped getting prescribed them, but he'd done this thing. He'd done a little, apparently, I didn't know this until later, when he was 3 years older than me. He'd done this little thing with someone. He did that for a doctor. This doctor that was prescribing him the Temgesics was gay. And the doctor paid Mark 30 grand to do a little gay porn movie thing with another guy. He wasn't gay, but he got offered 30 grand for it. So he said when he told me later on, he says, Pete, I'm not gay, but I wasn't going to refuse 30 grand. He got done. He did that, and somehow he got done with it. He got done with buggery, sort of thing. Wow. And he didn't do any time for it. He did remand it for a bit. Didn't find this out till later. But anyway, end up with I'm injecting Temgesics with him. Then, like I say, he got stopped getting prescribed them, and then because he did this thing with the doctor, he used to bribe the doctor and get tons and tons and tons of them. Because he took the blame. He went to jail. He didn't say it was for this doctor, and he used to blackmail him. So he got them. But it come to a point, he was getting all these drugs. It got to a point where they're not affecting us. And he took heroin before. So this is in England. They got introduced to heroin. So he ended up scoring one day heroin, and he was going to inject it. He said, "Do you want a bit?" I'm like, I'm asking what it's like. He says, "Well, same buzz as Temgesics, but it's more intense. You know what I mean? And you'll get a rush and stuff like that." So it gives me half of it, maybe quarter. I can't remember. We were in a park, and he did it. We did it behind a tree. And injected half a quarter, like I said, and wow, what a rush I got! You know what I mean? That was only from a little bit of it. You don't get much for it. You didn't get much for a tenner, but that was just a little bit of it, and it was a lot stronger then. And the buzz I got was amazing. So I ended up taking that and getting addicted to that sort of thing. So I was addicted to that for a while. I was. This is like when I'm 18. Sorry, with that place I was working, I'd already at 17, because it was a multimedia center. This is before I started taking heroin again. I went to Greece for a multicultural exchange. So it was 10 of us went over there to a place called Volos in Greece, to a place that was like us. Do you know what I mean? Like a multimedia center, and we lived with the families and stuff. And that was a brilliant experience. I loved it. I turned 18 in Greece. I was 17. I turned 18 in Greece. So we got some Metaxa brandy for my birthday. But I loved that experience, the exchange. I think we got the better deal because they come to Coventry afterwards, and it's cold and stuff, even in the summer or whatever. And they said when you come to Coventry, you've got good history. Not much history, but a good way of presenting it. That's what they said. But it was just, like I say, it was a good experience. It was just something I did. It's something that I liked. Sort of thing. But so I'm 18 now, and this is when I'm taking the heroin. That's when I'm taking the heroin, and I'm getting into taking the heroin all the time, and I get addicted to it, and I come off it now and again. Sometimes when I'm not so addicted, and I'm coming.
Just 1 minute. Sorry to interrupt. Like, so did you lose this job that you had through heroin? Through taking this, I ended up just not going all the time, and then I'd go at night time and just go in the studio with my mate, record some music and stuff. But it got to a point when I'm like staying off like 2 days, coming in 3. Then it got to like I'm staying off 3 days, coming in 2, then just coming in sporadically, and they would just let me off with it. Then it got to a point like, PJ, we're gonna have to let you go. Let me go, sort of thing. But at this point, I'm taking heroin, but for some reason, I'm not getting into trouble.
I'm not getting in trouble. I'm not stealing or anything like that. I'm somehow managing. I mean, obviously I was getting YTs. It wasn't much, 35 quid, and then it went to 40. Then after that, I had to sign on. So I was just living off my dough, sort of thing. I was a £10 a day probably addict at that point. And I'm living in the YWCA. It got to the point when I'm not paying them what I'm meant to. Like, it was only £7 I had to pay on top of my housing benefit, and I'm not paying it. I'm not paying it obviously because I'm on heroin and stuff, and end up getting kicked out of there.
Well, gosh, I mean, what benefits back then? Like,
oh wow, it's called Job Seekers. It was called Job
dull.
Seekers Allowance. It was Job Seekers Allowance. Sure, it was called that. Something like that. You signed on anyway. You signed on, and every 2 weeks you got a gyro check, a green gyro check through your door. You used to wait for the post to come and go to a post office and cash it every 2 weeks. Now
But it
it's
were like
monthly.
what, 50 quid a fortnight or something? Can't have been.
At this point, yeah, I got 68 quid a fortnight in 1994, and I remember getting a cold weather payment of £8.
Wow.
But so I'm living off that, but I end up homeless. But not on the street. I went to the mate Mark that I took the gear with, and I'm staying with him for a while, and then I bump into my mate that I used to work with in the Depot Studios that I've just got sacked from. Well, it's a few months by this. I don't remember how many months, and that time was a bit skew with because I was on drugs. And I bump into him. He's got longer hair than that now. He used to have like spiky and his hair's down his shoulder. I'm like, "Wow, all right, Matt, how you doing?" He's 6'3" tall, and he's like, he tells me to come up for a drink and stuff like that. So I do, and I tell him the situation, and I end up staying with him. So I'm staying with him. He's an alcoholic at that point. He's drinking that cider, white cider. Now it's Frosty Jack. Back then it was called Pulse and White Lightning, stuff
Pulse,
like that. He was drinking. Yeah, he was drinking stuff like that, Pulse, White Lightning, and I'm drinking it with him, but I'm not thinking. And at this point, this is the point where
red.
I wasn't addicted. I mean, I was on and off the gear. I was addicted. I didn't get to the point where I was rattling really, really, really bad. You know what I mean? I was just uncomfortable because it got to a point where it was sporadically taking it. You know what I mean? Rather than every day. And then it did become daily, obviously later, and a lot more. But yeah. So I'm staying with him. We're drinking stuff like that. I get to the point where I'm 20 and I'm staying with him. I didn't stay with him.
What, knowing that like these drugs are like that addictive, what goes off in your head to like keep doing it?
It's just the injection, the buzz, and then you get a needle fixation as well. Once you've done it the first time and you don't die, you know what I mean? You do think about things like this, but you don't think it's going to happen to you because you think you're in control of what you're taking. You know how much to take, but you don't know the potency of it. You know what I mean? You're just taking what you think. You think it's the same potency every time. It usually is, but then you get something stronger or whatever. You know what I mean? So it is. Like say, the first time I took it, it was scary. After that, it wasn't. It wasn't. Even when I'd been off it for a few months and went back to it, it didn't scare me. I used to be cautious and take less, and then if I didn't get the same buzz, I'd just take the other amount straight away and know I'd be okay. So I mean, so I was cautious a bit like that. Yeah, I'm 20-year-old living with Matthew, and one day, I mean, he tried it a couple of times by smoking it with someone else, and I'm not bang on it at this time. But he says, and I'll take it now and again. Then he asked me, he said, he says, I've took it a few times, I like it, because you like the gouch out and stuff like that. He says, can you inject me? I want to try that. I'm like, Matt, dude, no. I don't inject you. It's dangerous, man. I says, I'm used to it. You're not. You're thinking I'm thinking, but he was very, very persuasive. And it's the first time I ever injected anybody, apart from Mark. Sorry, I injected Mark just one time when he couldn't get himself. But for somebody that's never taken it before, I've never taken a heroin virgin's injection. You know what I mean? I've never done it to someone that never took it before, never injected before. Well, he persuades me. He persuades me. So and he gives me the money to get it. So I go downstairs and get it from a guy called Jungo. Came back up and he cooked it up in that, and so. And it was only a £10 bag between us. Like it's what I usually take myself, and sometimes I take more. But what I usually take myself, because that's the money I split it half to him and half to me. So I didn't think I'd even get a buzz sort of thing. But yeah, like I say, persuasive. He stuck out his arm. I injected him, injected myself, and just remember sitting there. It was fine. And I didn't know anything. He, as far as I know, he was fine. I was fine. But then all of a sudden I'm waking up or something. Don't know how many hours later. My head was all messed up at that point. It seemed like 2 hours, but I'm totally wasted. And this is half of what I usually take. I'd been off of it a couple of months, sort of thing. But then I'm taking it. I didn't think I would get that much of a buzz, but I don't remember it because it just passed me out. I could have OD'd. I could have OD'd for all I know and came
So,
back.
like, you dropped on for like a strong batch, or
It must have been. Must have been.
Something weren't right with it.
Mm-hmm. That's it. But anyway, what I hear is that we must have just both crashed out. But the next thing I hear is the phone. I hear the phone ringing, a house phone. You can't, you know what I mean? Back then we didn't have mobiles. House phone ringing. So I answer it. I'm like, hello, who's that? And it says, oh, sorry, no. I think, sorry. Did I answer it? Did he answer it? Try to remember. I think he answered it, but he was kind of wasting. He didn't know, and he passed the phone to me, and it was a bunch of girls. I'm like, hello, who's this? And it was a bunch of girls giggling on the phone. I'm like, who's this? And I just remember thinking. I thought it was just girls giggling, so I just put the phone down because nothing was said. But when I thought about it later, it was girls. It must have been girls that me and Matt. I mean, he was with someone, but Matt gave his phone number to when we'd seen him in town. Do you know what I mean? Said to come round some night. It was like four girls. You know what I mean? And it must have been them. That's all I could think of. It must have been them, sort of thing. So he passed it to me. That's right. He passed it to me. The phone and said, "Oh, deal with that." It was all wasted and stuff. And I couldn't believe it. The gouts must have been getting that. I mean, we must have just passed out. He passed the phone to me, and like I said, they were just giggling. There was no sense coming from him. I put the phone down. I'm like, Matt, who do you reckon that was? Because I didn't know at the time. Matt, and I'm wasted. I just can't remember how it got that way. You know, I was like, Matt, and I'm looking at the clock, and I think I see the time. I don't remember the time, but at the time I was thinking, wow, was that time going by? Matt, who the hell do you think that was? I bet he was crashed out. And I'm like, Matt, who do you think that was? And he's not answering me. So I shook him. Like, Matt, who do you think that is? And he's not answering. I'm like, Matt, shaking him, and he's still not answering. I'm like, Matt. Then I noticed his face was white, pure white or grey-ish. To me, I remember it being white. But when I see the photos later, it was grey. But anyway, I got scared. So I licked my finger and put it under his nose, and I didn't feel any air, cold air or anything. So I got really, really scared. And I remember just throwing him down the ground, and I didn't know what to do. I was trying to resuscitate. I'd never learned how to do it. I was pushing on his heart and stuff like that. And then I'm really, really scared. So I'm on the phone. I quickly go on the phone and phone upstairs to a girl who called Tina, and she phoned the ambulance, I think. Yeah, or I can't remember, but she came down and all that stuff, and then other people. I phoned other people quickly while I was trying to do this, and then they're phoning the ambulance. I phoned the ambulance because they're talking to me. But I think she phoned them as well, but I phoned, and it come at the same time. And I'm talking to the ambulance people while I'm doing this, or not the ambulance people, whoever, and they're telling me what to do, and they're saying the ambulance is coming, sort of thing, and they're telling me what to do, and I'm doing it. But it's weird. I can't remember much about it. Even when I woke up, I mean, I remember giving a statement later and thinking I was in the bedroom, but I couldn't have been in the bedroom because, my head was all messed up at the time. It was just thinking back that I remember things, and sometimes it might be what I'm saying might not actually be real. It might be just what I thought. Do you know what I mean? Because my head was all messed up. But these things definitely happened. And I'm pumping on his heart and stuff like that, and nothing's happening. By this time, the ambulance come in, they're doing I'm standing back crying, devastated. And like, I'm like, no, you can't die. You can't die. And I'm crying like hell. And
I bet it was like a
yeah,
nightmare or something.
yeah. That's what. Yeah, it's kind of what I thought. It was like a nightmare. So I've skipped up a bit where I got introduced to a church, but I'll come back to it. But anyway, yeah, the paramedics are going in for a little while, and he just turned around and said to me, point back, "You know he's dead, don't you?" I'm like, started bawling. I couldn't understand it, couldn't believe it. I ended up running downstairs and saying to the people we knew when we used to go down to, it was H and Julie. And I knock on the door and I'm saying to him, Matt's dead, sort of thing. And that's what I said, Matt's dead. And ended up I had to stay with them. His missus came in and she blames me. I injected him, sort of thing. It wasn't my fault, but he persuaded me. It was me. I wasn't kept going on and on and on. But yeah, it happened, and he died. It devastated me. My best friend, and to me, in my head, I've killed my best friend. You know, it was horrible to live with, sort of thing. But yeah, let me go back. Sorry, when I was on drugs, I forgot to miss this. I'll come back to this in a second. I got introduced to Christianity at 19. So this is a year before what I'm talking about now. And I'm still taking drugs. And I was on a program at one time with methadone as well for a little while. And I got introduced to this church through Mark. I had lost touch with him for a little while. Mark I injected with through him. And ended up going. But he just went because of the music and stuff. And it was like a charismatic when they're talking in tongues and praying and stuff like that. And they did this. It sounds horrible and weird. But that's how I got introduced to Christianity, is through him, through this church. And they were charismatic. They were praying in tongues and all that. And I just thought I wasn't reading my Bible or anything at the time. But they used to pray for me. I used to go every Sunday. But it was just because it was a place to go. I believed in God. I wasn't kind of interested in following at that point. I just believed, you know what I mean? But like I said, I was homeless in these times, and I was back and forth with people. So there was a guy from the church took me.
So, how, you know, like your friends died and you've injected him. How did that play in your mind, like regarding believing in God? Like, what you're like, why is this happening to me, God? You know, why is he dead, God? You know, what them sort of things running through your mind?
I didn't think about that. I wasn't like that towards God. I was just devastated. It was like that sinking feeling, like when my mum left and I had that in my heart. Similar to that, but it was fear as well. I was so scared because to me, it killed him. I thought I was getting done with murder or something. But I ended up getting But anyway, I've got to come back to that because I was introduced to Christianity through that church, and it was charismatic. They're talking in tongues and stuff like that. I was homeless, and one Sunday, one of the congregation called Clint, a guy called Clint, took me to stay with him for a night because he knew I was homeless. He said I could stay for the night. He had a bed and all that. He prayed for me and went to bedtime upstairs. And at this point, the situation, because I was going to church, I kind of was like I need something in my life. I obviously need some God or something because it's not going right. So I'm praying to God that night in the dark, and was praying. I was kind of whispering, praying, not kind of praying out loud, but mouthing it. But it was to myself. Do you know what I mean? But my mouth was moving, I suppose. And I was just lying there praying to God, saying, "Please, look, my life's terrible. Can you come into my life?" And at this point, I was still saying, "If you're there." You know what I mean? If you're there. But no, like I used to say, is if you're real, and then now it's if you're there, please come into my life because my life's terrible. It's good. It's horrible sort of thing. I'm homeless, and please, Lord, come into my life sort of thing. I wouldn't say I was saved at that point, definitely not. But I was praying. Then audibly, I had a horrible voice. It scared me to death. I can't repeat the sound of the voice, but it said, "You're too late." Like saying I'm too late to be saved. You're too late. Go and jump. That's what I heard. Audibly, I heard it. You're too late. Wow. Go and jump. So I think I had a demon or the devil or whatever, and I had it audibly. And he's telling me I'm too late. God didn't speak to me, but through that, it made me think. Like, oh, sorry, I'll tell you. It scared me to death. It scared me to death. It was awful. I'd run, turn the light on, and everything. And I heard that. Oh, you're too late. Go and jump. I'm like, God, what's happening? What's happening? I'm so scared. It was so scared. It was an awful demonic voice. I felt like it might have come into me or something. Oh, it was awful. I was scared. And
Well,
I'm
see,
praying, and I'm praying to God. I'm saying, please, 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 Lord, please, what's going on? And then I run downstairs and tell the guy what's happened, and he starts praying with me. And he says, "Look, that'll be a demonic attack or whatever, trying to scare you, saying you can't be saved and stuff like that."
yeah, well, that's thing, as well as like finding God when you're at your rock bottom. Satan's
Yes.
also praying, waiting for people at the rock bottom. You know.
Exactly, definitely. So he was telling me to go in and unalive myself. Do you know what I mean? That's what he was saying. Demonic or devil, it was demonic attack, whatever. But I thought it was the devil's voice. It could have been the devil himself. I do not know. But the guy downstairs prayed for me. He told me what it'd be. When he prayed for me, I felt calm straight away. So just calmness came over me, and I was okay. So through the devil or a demonic attack talking to me, it give me more faith in God. Because I thought, well, if the devil's trying to talk to me, there's got to be God. So from then on, when I did pray, it wasn't if you're there, it's God, please help. I was still using them sort of thing just to help when I was in troubles and that. But from then on, it was a definite thing for me. It was definite. It was like God is definitely real, no matter what. It wasn't Bible invest in the Bible or anything.
Well,
But there you go.
as you know now, like God's ultimately in control. He even uses Satan to his own
Exactly.
means. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
And that's what happened.
awesome.
So that gave me a bit more faith in God. I still wasn't following. I still took drugs and that now and again, but it made me know that God was real. But that voice was terrible. So sorry, I had to go back to that to tell you my introduction into Christianity sort of thing. But it was in the not hyper-charismatic, but charismatic kind of way, which I mean, God still used for me to come to Him, But, Matthew's dead. So the police. So I went downstairs. Eventually, I went downstairs to the mates, and like I said, I knocked on the door. I come and I says, "Matt's dead," and I started crying and stuff like that. But anyway, the police obviously have to talk to me. So the police come, take me away, and I give him a statement and all that, told him what happened, but I did not say, because I said he injected himself. So I said if I knew if I said I injected him, I'd get in trouble worse somehow, But anyway, that's the only thing I lied about when it came to the case, and I said he injected himself, sort of thing. But I just told him the truth. I told him I went and got it and stuff like that. But while I was there, I got out that night as well. I gave the statement, told him what happened. I'm devastated. But that night, I got out the next day. But that night, when I did that, they said, "Right, okay, Sam, we'll take a statement, then we'll go and see what's happening." They come back and say, "Oh, there's a warrant out for your arrest." And at this point, I had no warrants, hadn't done anything, so I knew I had no warrants. I'm like, "What are you on about? I've got warrants for my arrest." And I was actually taking the court for him. Taking the court in the morning, 2 courts actually. There's a warrant for my arrest. Paul Joe Cruickshank had done shoplifting in Stratford upon Avon at this time, which is 30 odd miles or something away from Coventry, I think. I'd never been to Stratford upon Avon to shoplift. I'd been there before to go and see Shakespeare's house and that years before, but I hadn't been there. I'm like, what the hell? What are you on about? I haven't even. That's never happened. What are you talking about? If they'd done the research properly, they would have known it wasn't me. But yeah, the warrant out for your arrest anyway. And so I'm in the court in the morning, and they're saying, "How do you plead?" And the solicitor saying this. He's saying this is not him. It's a mistake, sort of thing, right? And then so they give me bail. So it's still to find out if it's not me or not. But I got bail from them. But at the same time, I had to go to Stratford upon Avon court for another charge. I'm like, what the hell? And I hadn't done, like I say, I hadn't done anything. So I was one in Coventry, one in Stratford upon Avon. I got taken to both courts. Now the Coventry courts they were useless. The police were kind of useless. They still thought it was me. I went to Stratford upon Avon, and I'm waiting to go to court. And the copper comes to see me, and he says, "That's not the guy I charged. What are you talking? That's not the guy I charged. It's not him. That's not him." It says, so, and then he showed me the photo. It was my mate, Mark. He'd gone and done stuff and used my name when he got caught.
Wow.
So when he got bail, he didn't have to go to court. I'd be caught. You know what I mean? I could not believe he'd done that to me. And you know what? It's still, to this day, if they set it, I'll tell you, at one point I got it from probation. I got probation direct to Home Office or whatever and get that stopped. And apparently it was stopped because his name, because if I get checked to this day, it comes up, my alias is Mark Oliver. I'm saying, look, that's not my alias. He used my name in the 90s to do something, and it stuck with me for some reason. I says, my probation worker sorted this out, so how come you're still doing it? And the thing is, because he's got a record of buggery, that was following me, sort of thing. Because he's used my name. I'm like, what? I've got no way. So anyway, this it all comes into play later. I'm Stratford upon Avon, and the copper comes in and says, that's not the guy I charged. You know what I mean? They show me the phone and it's Mark Oliver, but I said, that's not me. That's Mark Oliver. I mean, I wasn't in Graston at the time, but he'd used my name. I'm saying, that's not me. That's not my mate. That's Mark Oliver, sort of thing. And the copper said, the copper came to court me. Stratford upon Avon says, it's not him. We've got to find out why. This is definitely not the guy we charged. He's obviously used the name, but still. So they've released me, and gave me a ride back to company. I didn't get anything from that court. It was just nothing. The charge got dropped from me because it wasn't me. Obviously, it was meant to be. It's Mark who used my name, but the one in company had bailed me, so I've still got that to answer to. But anyway, so I'm out the next day and I go back to the building where it happened. It's a big high rise, and I'm devastated. My mate is dead and all that. I've got nowhere to live. I don't know what to do. I go to H and Julie's, and then I phoned someone I knew from a Christian woman I knew, and she helped me out. She got me bus fare to go back to Scotland. So I go back to Scotland, and like I say, I was released from police station, so I ended up going back to Scotland. Who did I live with?
I was going to say, where you going to live if you went back to Scotland?
Right, that's it. I went back to Scotland, and my dad was in this place with a load of other people. Was his missus dead at the time? I can't remember. No, it was later on, I think. Can't remember. But anyway, yeah, my dad was living in this kind of place with it was a house with a load of bedrooms, and it was in the high street of Fraserburgh. And my dad's there with drinking with his buddies that lived there, and there was a spare room. And my dad got me the room. It was not a nice place, sticky floors, bedrooms were awful, yellow walls, all that. Everybody smoked and drank. You know what I mean? So I'm staying there for a little bit, and then I end up getting my housing benefit didn't get sorted out properly, so I end up not having to couldn't be there. So I end up living with a cousin of mine for a little while. She's like a distant cousin, Valerie, and I get a job then. I'm working in the fish yard, just packing fish and stuff like that. I still take drugs now and again. I took heroin now and again, but I wasn't badly addicted or anything, you know. Hold on. So yeah, I'm still telling it right. Cool. I was thinking I was going too far. Yeah, no, get a job in the fish yard, stuff like that. I've still got this court because it wasn't. When I got charged, the guy in Stratford upon Avon dropped it because it wasn't me. I thought automatically that the one in Coventry would be dropped, sort of thing, but it wasn't. So there was warrants out my arrest from that not answering the court for something Mark Oliver did because I was up in Scotland, sort of thing. But I was working anyway. I was working for a little while. End up taking drugs again. I was working for like 3 months, then started taking drugs again, and me and my mate end up doing a few little crimes to get money for it. I get caught, and this is 3 months after what had happened in Coventry. So I get caught up in Scotland for this certain thing, and I don't get released. I go to court the next day. They bailed us. They bailed me and my mate for a social inquiry report. So we got bailed. So we're going downstairs to get out. He's getting processed, getting out. So I signed this thing from a bus warrant to get back to Fraserburgh. So we've got no money to get there because court was 16 miles away. And I'm signing that with the social worker. And then when I'm sitting there with the social worker, I've signed that, and two cops come in, two policemen come in, one with suit And I never recognised them as the Scottish cops, and they started talking their English. And anyway, they'd come from Coventry to arrest me for manslaughter, because manslaughter. And I'm like, what do you mean? I couldn't murder anyone. That was my friend. I didn't kill it. I denied injecting him. I said I couldn't kill anybody. It says, well, there's evidence or there's the statement you injected him and he died and all that. I mean, I did. That's what happened, but I was denying that. So I said I couldn't kill anybody. And anyway, they arrested me for manslaughter. They were nice people. I was devastated. I thought, well, I'm going away for a long time. At the time, I knew manslaughter wasn't murder, but to me, manslaughter was next to it. I just thought I'd get just as long, maybe 15 years or something like that. To me, I mean, that would be life back then. I'm 20-year-old. You'd think that was life. But anyway, they fly me back down. I got arrested down there. Think I'm going home. Get arrested, and they fly me down to Scotland. I'm devastated. Obviously, my handcuffs and stuff like that. They take him off in the plane once it takes off, like British Airways as well. So it only takes 50 minutes to fly from Aberdeen to Birmingham. But yeah, they fly me down, and I'm so like
I
so
can't imagine. I can't imagine how you were feeling, like.
Devastating, man. I was scared, like when I was talking to the coppers, and when I got this, "Oh, you're down here for a long time, then, ain't you?" And like they're saying things like, "Oh, not the coppers that took me down, DC Bill Briggs and somebody else wearing a suit." He was a nice guy. He seemed like it anyway. But yeah, and then so like take my handcuffs when I take off. He says, "We'll get you. Do you want a whiskey?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll have a whiskey, definitely." You know what I mean? So they gave me a couple of whiskeys. You know what I mean? They were sound that way. We landed in Birmingham. They had to put the cuffs back on, obviously, covered the jacket over the cuffs. Walked in. I had to go into there's a police like station thing in Birmingham Airport, International Airport, with cells and stuff like that. So I had to get kept in the cells there. Whoa, they were dark. I mean, the airport is a nice airport. When you go to the cells, it was dark. It felt like a dungeon. Yeah, I'm in there for waiting for an hour to get transported to Coventry. It's only 16 miles away. So we get transported to Coventry. Obviously, I'm in the cells all night at Coventry. Go to court the next day. Oh, yeah, they tell me also you've got a warrant for that thing. But they say at this point they've found out it's not me. It's not me. So I think in court the next day that got taken away with. But to this day, my alias is still Mark Oliver. When I tell them, they can get it sorted out. But they always sort it out, sort of thing. But if I get stopped by the police, they'd say, "Oh, if it, known but not wanted, is your alias Mark Oliver?" And it's still in the system, but I explain to them, and they check it off, and they know it's right. But it's still there. It's still there, and it does me nothing because the Home Office was written to and everything. You know what I mean? I think it's a Home Office. I don't know. But whatever. Where was I? Yeah, so I'm in the cells, and then the next day, the officer, I'm talking to the solicitor, and I didn't even tell the solicitor I injected him. I told him the truth about everything apart from me injecting him. I said he injected himself, sort of thing, because I knew I would get me there. But when I got, when I was in stage, the reason, and I don't know why it was said, because one of the reasons they arrested me for it is because when I went down to my mates after he was dead, and I said, Matt's dead, right? The woman, Julie, she gave the statement. Hers said that I said, he come down and said, Matt's dead, right? But her man's statement, who meant to be my mate, said, I killed Matt. I knocked the door and says, I killed Matt. I did not say that. I said, Matt's dead. You know what I mean? Afterwards, I said to them in there that, you know what I mean? I injected him and stuff like that, but I can't say to the police. So I think, so his statement said, I said I killed Matt. I never said that. I said, Matt's dead. And her statement sort of backs me up. But because of that, and because I admitted to them that I injected them, and I got it's on that statement saying as well, I killed Matt, which is not what I said. So I don't know why, to this day, I don't know why he said that, because we were mates. But we did fall out a couple of times because his missus tried it on with me. Julie did. She liked me a lot and she kept trying it on. And one day we kissed, but she wanted to go further and I didn't. And I didn't tell him about the kiss and all that because I just wanted to blanket sort of thing. But she was drunk one day and told him herself, I put it on PJ sort of thing. So I think maybe because he knew his missus liked me, possibly, it was because of that. I don't know. I don't know for sure. But anyway, because of that statement and whatever I said, I got arrested with that. So in court next day, I told my solicitor that I didn't inject him because he even said to me, he said, "Well, did you inject him? Because if you did, you know that is manslaughter." Like, yeah, I know. So I was denying that, praying to God as well at the same time. Please get me out of this situation. But anyway, I'm not getting. Obviously,
But
when I go to court,
what's like? How do you feel like knowing like because although you were saying that you'd not injected him, you knew you hadn't.
oh yeah, it was
Ultimately,
that.
like you must be blaming yourself. Like, yeah, I have killed
Absolutely.
him.
Up until just a few years ago, I mean, I still, in a way, blame myself because I mean, I went to jail, but I lied about it. I lied about injecting him, and you know what I mean. That bugs me a bit, but I can't do nothing about it anymore. It's not like I'm going to go back to 1997 in January 97 and go back to the police and say, I actually injected him. Do you know what I mean? You can't do nothing about it. I've been convicted and sentenced and all that. So I got a not guilty on the manslaughter in the end. But anyway, yeah, so I get remanded, obviously. I'm in court, I get remanded. He does apply for bail, but because they think I'm a risk because I live in Scotland, I just go back to Scotland or whatever. Yeah, they remanded me. So I got remanded to Glen Park. I was 20-year-old. So I'm not quite an adult for it. So I still get, in the July, I turned 21. But yeah, so I'm in Wales where there's a load of 14 to 20-year-olds there, but mainly like 14 to 18. And I feel like I'm a man and I'm in there with kids. You know what I mean? But yeah, I got remanded there anyway in Glen Park in Leicester. And the unit I first went to, yeah, like I say, when I went to jail, it was the awful feeling. It scares you even more when you're going in and getting processed. You just think that people's got to, you know what I mean? You're just not got to get on, you're going to get killed, whatever, fight for you know what I mean? Just fight for things and
Eating
stuff.
every day, or you know.
Yeah, yeah. So there was a bit of kind of bullying, but after that, no, I got on all right in jail. But yeah, when I first went in there, I went to Unit 14. There was this other Scottish guy, but I'm in there with these English people, and there's another Scottish guy there. And I'm phoning. I get a phone card, and when we get out and I can't remember what it's called. We call it rec now, but we didn't call it rec back then. But it's you get out for your recreation time or whatever.
Recreation.
Yeah. But back then we called it something else, but just say recreation. And at that time you get £2 phone cards, sort of thing, and to phone people. So I'm phoning my sister, and these people, I was like a group of people behind me, trying to get my phone card off me. I'm like, no, you're not getting my phone card. I'm phoning my sister, and do you know what I mean? It's and I'm actually on the phone to my sister while these guys, about 4 or 5 of them, was by me trying to get my phone card, pulling at me, trying to get my phone card. They end up hitting me now. I'm trying to hit them with the phone because it's in my hand, and they'll get me like sort of on the ground and boot into me and that. And then there's this Scottish guy as well. I thought he'd be on my side, joined in. I'm like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. So I'm 20-year-old and I'm getting bullied by there was no 14-year-olds there, but 18-year-olds and that. But I don't know how many it was definitely 4 or 5 sort of thing. And they're trying to, like I say, try to get my phone card. So that wasn't a good time to start off with. And getting beaten, I ended up with a big elbow to my cheekbone, which my cheekbones stick out anyway. And that was just, oh wow, that was out for a bit. But and I tried to fight back, but I couldn't. So it was still scary in there. It was really scary. But they put me into a different unit, and in that unit I was fine. So in this time, obviously I'm blaming myself for Matthew and stuff like that, and I'm scared and I'm praying to God all the time. Please let me just drop the manslaughter, please, Lord. I can't do that length of time, please. But they charged me, like I say, sorry, they charged me just in case the manslaughter didn't stick. They charged me with supplying, which they could get me on because I admitted to go and getting the drug. It wasn't my money. But I went to the dealer and handed it to Matzi. So I admitted to go and getting it. So they classed me as the dealer. So they've got that. I'm still going not guilty to both, like, because I didn't class myself as the dealer. But you got to the point. But I'm six months on demand.
Might not have necessarily been a jail sentence, though, would it?
What's that?
You know, just like buying drugs for somebody and doing you for being a dealer. I don't think you'd have got time for that.
Oh well, no, I did. And that's what I got done for in the end. That's the point. Yeah, so I know I wasn't a dealer, but yeah, I still got done with supplying because I admitted passing it to him. But it was a plea bargain in the end. Like I say, I'm under remand for 6 months in another unit. It's it's fine. I'm okay there. I'm meeting people and stuff like that. And they're okay with me. So I'm a bit more confident. I'm still being myself. Still get scared of situations and stuff like that. Anyway, I goes to court one day and it gets put off again for a little while. And because something, I can't remember why, but it got changed to another court. Because it got changed to another court, I had to go to another YO's. Like, wow. So I went to Brinsford, which is in Wolverhampton, near Birmingham. So it goes down, it's another YO. And then I kind of get those kind of people like elbowing, trying to nick stuff on me. I just start a fight or something just because I scraped by them. I didn't get into any big scuffles in there, but it was like, yeah, there was a bit of fear, a bit of thing. So and that I ended up kind of doing that to one of my cellmates because I was getting a little bit bullied. I didn't bully him, but I was a bit harsh with him, and he'd never been to jail before, and so I kind of made him feel like how I felt when I came in. I felt really bad for it afterwards. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I made him feel really bad. It was awful of me to do it, and I feel that I repented so much afterwards for it. It was yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm in this other jail. It gets to the point where I've been in jail 6 months, which is already a year sentence. And I end up going to I end up going to Birmingham. I was meant to go to Warwick Crown, which I was scared of because that was renowned for giving people big sentences. So I was at that court, and I remember being in front of the judge, and I'm looking up to him, and the cells downstairs like dungeons. It's crazy, and it just looked like an Old Bailey type thing, and you're looking up at the judge. It was awful. But anyway, it got put to Birmingham Crown in the end. So when I get there, and I'm going there for to see if I'm guilty or not guilty, it was going to go to trial because I was going not guilty. But I get there, and I didn't think it was going to get dealt with that day. But the solicitor come to me and they says, "Look, we'll give you a plea bargain." They didn't have too much evidence on the manslaughter, but I didn't know that. I didn't know. I was scared. You know what I mean? I didn't know nothing. But anyway, they said if you plead guilty to supplying, they will give you a not guilty on the manslaughter. So I'd been in jail a year, 6 months already, which is a year sentence. And I think to myself, yes, I was going not guilty to both. But I thought, if I'm getting that plea bargain to go away from manslaughter, I'm taking it. That was my thing. I've already done 6 months, which is a year sentence. Whatever I get, it's a year off of it already. You know what I mean? So I take the plea bargain, absolutely. Like I say, the manslaughter's dropped. And when it gets dropped, the judge said to the prosecution was all right with it as well. The judge said, "Do you want me to pronounce him not guilty?" And they said, "Yes, you pronounce me not guilty," because they could have let me off with it, give me a guilty on the supplying, but left it open, and then I could have got done later. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what it's called, but there's a thing they can do that. So, but he said, "No, can you plead him, pronounce him not guilty?" So I got a not guilty in it, so they couldn't go back to it. So no matter what, if I wanted to go and say later that I did inject him, they couldn't do anything about it, because I'd been pronounced not guilty. So so I get they actually dealt me that day, and I was so relieved. I got three. They said, like, for the £10 bag, right, of drugs. I mean, normally for that, just passing on, you only get 6 months or something. But because, even though I got not guilty in the manslaughter, because someone died in the process, he equated my case to another case. And he says, "I give that guy 3 years, so I'm going to have to give you 3 years," sort of thing. Wow. So I got 3 years. I go back to the YOs to start my sentence. So I get my release date, and it was at this point, it's July or August 97. No, sorry, it's just when I get sentenced, it's June 97, because I turned 21 the month after in July. So I got sentenced when I was still 20, went to back to Brinsford, and to start my sentence. Got 3 years. I turned 21, like I say, a month later, so I've got to go to man's jail. And they said, right, Sam, you go to it's called Blakenhurst at the time, and at the time that was a private jail, and it was an okay jail. You got your own key to your cell and stuff like that. You didn't get out of the gates or anything, but you could walk in and out your cell when you wanted. Obviously, I was locked down at night time when you couldn't get out, but you could come in and out your cell as you wanted. It was a private jail, and a lot of people used to go there. But they said, right, you're going now. We get on the bus and they take us to Winton Green in Birmingham. We got stitched right up. Told we were going to Blakenhurst and then into Winton Green in Birmingham, which is renowned for violence, everything, especially back then. Awful jail. Anyway, I'm only 2 weeks in there, and I'm trying to transfer back up to Scotland because that's where I was living at the time. So because of that, I was only like 2 weeks in Winton Green. They then cut-seed me and put, because that's still a Constance Catby jail because it's remand and that. They then cut-seed, they end up putting me at cut-seed jail, where there's no remander. It's just people that's been sentenced, sort of thing. And that was in Stafford. And I'm in Stafford for about a month. I have a little problem there with a guy there. I was lying in the top bunk, and he thought I was sleeping at night. I felt his hand creeping in my bed, trying to touch me up. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I was like, no, what are you doing? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. What are you doing? He was trying to be all gay with me. I'm like, what are you doing? I ended up getting these people called listeners. I didn't want to talk to the screws about it because I didn't want to be a grass. So I talked to these listeners who are cons, but they talk to the screws for you type thing. And I speak to this because we're having a roll up and all that, tell them what's happening. So then you're meant to have your own cell anyway. I get put into my own cell, which was pretty cool because I was reading books, Stephen King, stuff like that. I was touching the Bible here and there, looking at bits and pieces, but didn't know how to read it or whatever, but only bits and pieces. I'm praying now and again. You know what I mean? I got my sentence. I know what I've got to do. I'm not praying as much. I still believe in God, stuff like that, but I'm not praying. I know what I've got to do. But then I think to myself as well, oh no, I've still got a case up in Scotland. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get up to Scotland anyway, because that's where I got caught. Remember, I was bailed from Scotland, got then taken by the Company Police. So I've still got a thing in Scotland to do. So I had to go all the way back to Scotland. So, all right, that's a bit there. Right. No, so we're in Winton Green. I'm in there a month. I've already told you I'm in Stafford. They cut-seed me, and I've got upstairs after this guy being all gay with me and stuff. They got me in my own cell upstairs, which is cool. I'm reading and stuff. And when I look out the window, it's straight onto the street. There's a garage there. You can see people coming out of the clubs and pubs and stuff. The actual street was called Jail Road. And it was crazy. But it was the old spell. It was the old spelling of jail. It was Gaol. That's Old English, I think, for prison. I think that's what it's called, Jail Road, sort of thing. Ironic, huh? But and it was kind of cool, like I said, because I could see people in the street. You could actually shout and talk to them. I remember at the weekends, you could hear the people next to me shouting to the women, "Oh, show us your," you know what I mean? And they were doing it. You know what I mean? So it was, I was there a month anyway. Like I say, I'm trying to get back to Scotland. So from there, they take me to a prison in Morpeth, Northumberland, called Acclinton. It used to be an air base at one point. But when you go into it, yes, there's prison fences and all that, wire on top. But it looked like it's not a holiday camp, but it looked like it. You know what I mean? It didn't look like a prison. So I think, and the cells were a lot better looking when you're in them and that. So when I got there and stayed a couple of months, I'm still trying to get to Scotland though. But I'm there a couple of months. I think, nah, sack it. This isn't all right, jail. I'll just stay here, get released from here, go to Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. But then I've still got this other charge to answer. I'm like, that charge comes. I was like, they've got a warrant out for you for it. They check it out. They've got a warrant. I'm like, oh, goodness. I says, can't they deal with it in my absence? No. So I have to go back to Scotland for this stupid charge that I got done before I got arrested to go to Coventry. So that's they drive me to. I ended up in started from Auckland. I go to Durham prison, and that's a Cat A prison for murderers and stuff like that. It's a Cat A, Cat B prison. Yeah. I have been talking a bit, Aaron. So yeah, I'm
I was
losing
just
my
gonna
voice a
say
bit.
2 hours. It's a long time to be talking, mate, and it's
Oh, we've
not
been
an easy
talking
thing to.
2 hours.
Yeah, it's nearly.
No, that's the
Well, it's
thing. That's the
five
thing.
past 9.
Yeah, and I'm only like halfway through. I didn't think. I
Are
thought
you
we were
on?
going to be 10 minutes off.
Are you only
But
halfway through?
no, not halfway through. I
Okay.
mean, the rest can be. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. So I'm in. They take me to Durham, and I was in Durham for a week. They were like old Victorian jails with rounded cells and bricks and like the cells. Do you remember Porridge? A bit like that. Them kind of cells
Yeah.
with you remember Porridge? Yeah, that. Well, uh, so yeah, Durham for a week. Then from Durham they transfer me to. It's got to go over the borders to Edinburgh, and I'm in a jail called Salton, which is that's in Edinburgh, and I'm there for about a week. No, sorry, a couple of days. Then they drive me up to court in Peterhead. The other court is at 60 miles from place where I live, and I get in there, and I get sentenced for it, and they give me 3 month concurrent, which means I don't do it. It's not consecutive. So it's in this. My sentence is 3 years, 3 months, but I just do the 3 years. Do you know what I mean? The 3 year sentence, sort of thing. So they could have dealt with it in my absence. Do you know what I mean? So I'm up in Scotland now. So I've got to get back. So drive on the drive back. They stop in Peterhead Jail, for their lunch, which I have to go down the block in a cell there because it's a rapist and murderer's jail only. So they stop there for the lunch, and I'm in a rapist and murderer's jail for my lunch. And I'm like, what? Are you mad? I'm not eating nothing from here. So I didn't eat anything, slept for about an hour after. Then they take us back to Salton in Edinburgh. And there for a few days, back to Durham for like a couple of days, then back to Accrington is where I finish off my sentence. So I do. After that, yeah. After that's done, I know what I've got to do. I know how much time I've got. I was fine. I was praying now and again, not really reading the Bible, just looking at bits and pieces, stuff like that. And then I get release time. It was August 98. I got 2 weeks extra on my sentence because I got an MDT, which was a mandatory drug test, and I'd smoked hash, which takes a long time to get out of your system, which takes 28 days. That's why a lot of people do class A's in jail, because once they get MDTs, it only stays in your system 3 days. So they do harder drugs rather than doing the like just hash or weed or whatever, because that stays in your system longer. And harsh and cat A drugs they stay in like 3 to 5 days. So a lot of people are doing that. So yeah, I get 2 weeks extra, 4 weeks extra on my sentence. After 6 months, you can claim 50% back. So I did. I got 50% back. So in my sentence, I only did 2 weeks extra. So 3 year sentence, I did a year and a half plus that 2 weeks. I get released. Going through the gates. I'm a bit scared when I get released though, because I think for some reason there's things I've been done and not been caught for. You know what I mean? So I think gate arrest. I'm going to get arrested. This is going to happen all over again. Stuff like that goes through your head. But no, got released. Nothing happened. Went back to Scotland. Just quickly, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't going to church or anything like that. Come back to Scotland. I end up going with someone called Linda, and I end up living with her and her mum. And I was yeah, so I'm just gonna have to go a little bit quicker. So we get married. In no, sorry, she gets pregnant with my daughter, Laurie Lee. Laurie Lee was born in 2000. So I'm taking drugs at the time. Sorry, I come out and I was good for a while, but I see my cousin
I was
comes
just
to
gonna say, like when you come out, you obviously you were clean, weren't you? Like
oh yeah, I was clean. And but after I don't know, 6 months or so, I mean, I was going out, having a drink here and there, doing speed now and again, but not much.
Isn't it funny how you never seem to learn your lesson?
That's it, dude. Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I do. I end up getting addicted this time properly. I'm taking it every day, and I'm taking loads. And obviously, I've got my daughter Laurie, and I end up marrying my wife. And well, she wasn't my wife when at the time. Married her in 2000. 6 months after Laurie Lee was born. So Laurie Lee was at our wedding. It was just a registrar thing. My dad turned up. his missus turned up and stuff like that. My mum came down from England. My sisters came down from England. My older sisters wasn't talking to me at the time, so they didn't come. So I ended up getting married. I mean, I got measured from a kilt 3 weeks before the wedding. I got measured from a kilt. 3 weeks after, when I put on my kilt and my stuff for the wedding, far too big. I'd lost so much weight in 3 weeks because I was bang at it, sort of thing.
Wow.
It was terrible. I looked terrible in my wedding photo.
So you got married in an ill-fitting kilt.
Yes, I did. It was too. Yeah, it fit me at the time, but when I went, after 3 weeks later, when I went, I'd lost a bit of weight, and it looks a little. If you ever see the photos, I don't know where they are. But, I was a little. I think she must have them. My ex-wife. They look a little baggy on me. A little bit baggy. Yeah, so I'm living away with. I'm still taking drugs. You know what I mean? I got married, still taking drugs. We moved to a different house. This is when Laurie Lee's gets to about 1. And in
Have you
February
gone back to
2001.
injecting drugs?
Oh, absolutely, injecting straight away. I never ever smoked it. Never smoked it.
See,
Smoked it.
that blows my mind that like you've actually been involved with injecting someone who was lost alive, and knowing all that, you still want to go back to injecting it. It's like
That's it.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I was completely addicted this time, like bang at it. And I ended up on methadone and that anyway, and coming off of it and go back on it. It's crazy. Yeah, train spotting, definitely. I don't know who said that. Aaron said that. Yeah. Where am I? Yeah, see, we moved to this other house, and in February, it was in Sandhaven. We went to Sandhaven. I wasn't very happy, and I thought if I went to Sandhaven and lived there, I'd feel like how I did sometimes in my childhood. You know what I mean? When it was okay. So, but yeah, it didn't work like that. She ended up crap. She ended up leaving me because of me on drugs and stuff. I got up one morning and I started an argument because she used the last Whistler and I couldn't have a fag. I didn't have money to go and get any. I had tobacco, and I ended up starting an argument because I'm on drugs, maybe rattling for drugs or something as well. And I started an argument over stupidness. It was over a Rizla. She had enough of it and left me. I was devastated about that as well. She left me and took Laura Lee with her. I remember saying we had the argument that day, and I had to go 2.5 miles to go and get my methadone in Fraserburgh. I says, please, I've got to go and get it. But when I had to walk and come back because I had no money, the bus or anything. I says, look, please, just don't go and we'll talk about it when you get back. And she agreed. But then when I come back, she's gone. You know what I mean? So that devastated me. My daughter had gone, and I love my daughter. So brilliant. But I haven't seen her for a while. I talked to her on Facebook and that. But yeah, so she leaves. It devastates me. I end up just taking drugs more and more. End up, I see Laurie Lee now, and I seen Laurie Lee now and again. But in the end, she ended up just stopping me seeing her. Got to the point where I'm 27. And I've been out with a few people, had a few relationships and that. Had a relationship. My last relationship before I went to rehab was with a girl that did the same as me. I was with her a year, and we were bang at it. So yeah, I was a mess. I ended up getting a house on my own. I'm still in there, and it was bare. I had a black and white TV and a little portable black and white TV, and then another TV underneath it. Because one TV didn't have sound and one TV didn't have picture. So I used the picture on one TV and the sound on another sort of thing. But, so I'm in that situation. And then comes the point I'm like, Steve, I'm shoplifting from my habit and all that, getting in a little bit of trouble, stuff like that. It gets to the point where there's this cafe in Facebook, it's an outreach called Solid Rock Cafe, which they kind of like help you out. It's a Christian place. Come in, have some food and that, and talk about stuff. They'll tell you about Queen. Hold on, please tell me. Look at WhatsApp. 2 seconds, guys. So. Oh, Vicky, you lost my train of thought.
Vicky.
Okay, right. Okay. I won't. Okay, no problems, Abe. I won't. It's just because it was up there. I didn't realise it was. But oh, sorry. What did I say, dude? Sorry, I hate it when I do that.
So you moved into this house. You've got a black and white.
Oh yeah. I know where I'm at now. Yeah, my wife's left me, stuff like that. gets to the point where I've had a few relationships. A relationship with a woman that did the same as me. She ended up going. I lived in this place as well. I'd been there like 3 to 4 months, shoplifting, trying stuff every day, rattling. It was a horrible, horrible life. I was getting really
It's fair
skinny.
to say that like your life's spiraling down even
Yeah.
worse than it's ever been.
Exactly. And I used to pray to God then as well. Oh, God, please, please, please help me. You know, just when I'm in trouble. And like I say, when I went at the time, I would have thought he's not helping me at all. But when I look back, because of the direction I went, he was using things, you know. So yeah, it gets to the point where I'm just praying all the time. I'm like, and then I'd feel a little relief thinking, well, it can't get worse than this. It's only got to get better. But it wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't. And it was my fault. Then, like I say, there's this cafe outreach called Solid Rock. So I go in there one day and he talks to me and stuff like that. And I keep going every now and again so I can get food and stuff like that. He's talking about me, God, and he says, look, I tell him I believe and stuff like that. I told him I went to church and stuff. I've got no problem believing. I don't think I was saved at that point, but I don't like prayed and stuff and knew a little bit. But it got to the point where he said, well, look, we can get you into this rehab called Teen Challenge. It was a Christian rehab. It started off in America sort of thing, but came over here. And he said, I can get you in there if you want. And I said, well, I thought about it. I thought, it means I've got to go away for, and it was that program. I mean, I was there a year and a half. It said we lost connection. We still got connection. Hello?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Oh, we have. Sorry.
Go on,
Sorry.
I can hear
It
you.
said in my...
Yeah.
You can hear me, yeah?
Yeah. Carry on.
All right, cool. But there's a little delay, I think, because you're answering me a little bit later. Anyway, oh, blimmin' heck. Can't remember. Where was I? Oh, I hate it when I do this. Those track all the time.
All right. Team Challenge.
Yes, sorry, dude. Sorry, Teen Challenge. Thank you. Yeah, he phoned Ben Ritchie. He phoned Teen Challenge to me round about the area. You're not meant to go to Teen Challenge in your area because it's too close to home. You know what I mean? But he's phoning around. No place had spaces, stuff like that. In general, you have to when you apply for Teen Challenge, you have to wait. Like I don't know, you have to keep phoning every day to show them you definitely want to come. You know what I mean? You had to phone in every day to report before you come in. It took about 8 weeks to get there, sort of thing. And he's phoning round and all that, and there's no spaces and stuff like that. And he phones this one in London, but this one doesn't do medication or anything like that. Phones this one in London, Essex, Ilford in Essex, and they said, yeah, they've got spaces. Says, send them down here, we'll take them. And he asked about medication. Says, oh, no, we do cold turkey down here. I says, no, I'm not doing that. No, forget it. So phone went down and stuff, and he spoke to me. He was a little bit annoyed. He said, look, I know you're on about medication, but look, you've got a pot. You could go and sort your life out. Do you know what I mean? You could go and try it. You could sort your life out. Do you know what I mean? You could be a Christian and get on with it. Just why didn't you do it? I said, well, I'm going to rattle. I don't want to rattle, sort of thing, because they don't do medication. And he's kind of like convinced me. I'm like, okay. So, and he was right. I was being really, really selfish. He was right. So he phoned him back up and says, look, can he come? Yeah. So end up going down, get trained down there that night and started that program. So what I did is I bought my last lot of gear. I got paid, bought my last lot of gear. Had one in the house before I left, and had one for the train, and I had one bottle of methadone. So then I had one in the train like halfway later. What I did as well, I left my house and I put the keys to the door. Didn't tell the council anything. I just kind of abandoned it. And I knew if I did that, I had to stay in rehab. You know what I mean? I had to stay in rehab, sort of thing. So because I would have no place to live when I come out. So I had to have faith that God would get me through it. So yeah, I go there and I'm getting ready. Halfway through, I take my second hit, my last hit ever, get rid of all my equipment. And then, but when I get off the train, because it was like a long ride, I took the methadone. So I'd be okay for the first day and that. And then halfway through the second day, you'd be okay, sort of thing as well with it. And then you start rattling. So yeah, take me in, process me, I get in my room. It's a nice place. Get told the program. I'm not going to go through the program because it's going to take far too long. We're here for ages. I'll just kind of skim along it. Yeah, the program is like 12 months long. You can stay longer if you want. But yeah, they played for me and stuff like that about the rattle and all that because I was scared. I was like, I'm going to rattle. It was terrible. And you know something? They played for me, and that's the first time I've ever come off drugs and never rattled. I could not believe it. I didn't rattle. I had a few nights restless sleep and a little bit of uncomfortability. He didn't take it all away. God didn't take it all away. He gave me a little reminder, but he took the majority of it away. And even since then, I've never had a withdrawal better than that. Never. I didn't feel.
Wow.
I think, like I say, I was a bit uncomfortable. And anyway, and come to a night where the guy, I prayed with a guy, and I did this thing called the sinner's prayer, and I prayed that, and that's when I think God actually came into my life properly because I was serious. You know, I was serious. And then I was doing the program in the February. This is February 2004. I went there October 2003. This is February 2004. I got baptized in a church called City Gates in Ilford. I got baptized there. And then they say once you get baptized, you get temptations from the devil, which it's true because it happened to Christ after he got baptized as well. You know, so you get tempted to do stuff, and that's the devil how he works with you. And I did. I ended up going out of the program and taking crack and drugs again with someone for 6 days. I went away to Middlesex, but then I've seen where it was going to go. After 6 days, I phoned them. They took me back. I ended up doing the program in Wales because after 6 months, you go to Wales, you do the rest of it. Right through to the end of the program, I was fine. I did all my phases. At the end, you have to do an exam, which takes about 3 hours. You have to learn all the books of the New Testament in order. You had 21 memory verses to do, and there was about 100 questions. I got 88%. I passed. So I became what do you call it? Phase 4. What did you call it? Any other year, but well, anyway, you're kind of like a leader when you're up there, sort of thing. But I ended up getting into a relationship. So I was there like 18 months. I got into a relationship which you're not meant to when you're in Teen Challenge. After it, no problem. You can start talking to them and that. You didn't get to talk to the women all the way through till I got to phase 4. Then you were allowed to talk to them in church or whatever, sort of thing. The girl in the girls' centre, sort of thing. So I got into a relationship that I was meant to. I wouldn't let it go, so they let me go. Because I even went through Teen Challenge. I went to the School of Ministry, which was part of Teen Challenge. So I was going to do the School of Ministry, and then after the School of Ministry, you get a 2 weeks mission in ministry mission in either someplace in India or someplace in Swaziland. Either in Swaziland because there's a lot of drugs goes on there, or India, a place in India because there's a lot of drugs going there. But I got 3 months into that part of the program, and because I wouldn't let go of the relationship, I had to leave. So I completed the program, but they wouldn't let me graduate at the ceremony. So I went to the ceremony that night because it was that night. Seeing people graduate, and I was gutted. So I was kind of rebellious. I was paying. This is right. This centre where I was at Teen Challenge, they say that Bible teaching in there, you get like 7 years worth that you would do from going to church every Sunday. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. 7 years, and it was. We had, like I say, we had projects to do. We had Bible school. We had work programs, go through the phases, stuff like that, and pass the exams. We had to do a little chapel thing where you take church and all that, and that's it. Like I said, they didn't let me graduate, but I completed the program. I was at graduation. I got my certificate for doing my exams, but I didn't get my certificate for graduating. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's it. I ended up coming back home in 2005. I was okay for 6 months, stuff like that. Then I started taking a little bit drugs here and there. I got to the point where I didn't have a place to live again, and I was going with a gal, and we stayed at my cousin's for a little bit. Then I phoned my mum and says, "What would you say if I came back to Coventry?" She says, "Well, I can't take you in, but you come back." So I come back, not knowing where I was going to live with this gal, but I ended up in a place that I knew I'd been there before, a little hostel and all that. She left after 3 months and stuff. Then what happened? Then where did I go? Well, I've been here ever since, but I started taking drugs a little bit again. Then I ended up on the methadone program, and then I'm not taking. I dabbled here and there. I've been addicted here and there till up until 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, I think, that I was dabbling on and off. I was getting addicted and stuff like that. But up until then, and God's always been with me through that, definitely, because if it was me myself, I'd end up dead. You know, like I say, I must have OD'd a million times and come back, you know, and not knowing it. But yeah, I ended up coming back to Coventry.
You know, like it don't always just take it away for you, you know, but it also don't let you go. You know what I mean? So, you know,
That's it. That's it.
it
I did work
perseveres with you.
That's right. When I came down to Girl, I did work for 3 months. I was a forklift driver. But while I was doing that job and she went back to Scotland and didn't come back, I ended up dabbling and I ended up addicted again while I was doing that job. Lost that job. You know what I mean? Then I ended up on a program, on the Get Methadone program. I met my son's mom. I met her when I was in a hostel. I wasn't using it at the time. I was just taking my methadone. Ended up with her and Kenzie was. Oh, thank you, baby. I'm losing my voice though. Yeah. So yeah, we ended up having my son, Kenzie. He was born in 2008. Love him to bits, man. I see him every now and again now. He's living with his nan. He's autistic. And when he was born and all that, we could tell he was a little bit different. There was something going on. But I always thought it was just Asperger's because his mum had Asperger's. But now I know it's like he's on the spectrum. It's more than Asperger's. And he's a good boy. He's got a YouTube channel, 16,500 subscribers. He doesn't do anything with it now. He made a little bit of money. Not much, but he made a bit through it. Yeah, things happened to him. And he had a brilliant vocabulary, but he doesn't talk anymore. He's mute. But I see him now and again. I talk to my daughter up in Scotland through YouTube. Through Facebook now and again. But I haven't seen her since she was 5, and she's now, wow, 2000. She was born 2000, so she's 24. She was 24 on January 17th. Yeah. So after Kenzie, we split up and all that. She stops me seeing Kenzie. She lets me see Kenzie. She stops me. It's just a big rigmarole. Not sometimes I end up back on drugs, coming off of them. Like I say, it wasn't up until 4.5, 5 years ago that I completely have been clean for. I've never been clean for this long. You know what I mean? Never. Sort of thing. And that happened when I started going with Vicky in 20. Oh, what was it? When did I start going with Vicky? Was it 2019 or 2020? 2019, I think. Yeah, it was 2019. 2019 I started going with Vicky. So since then, I haven't touched drugs, sort of thing. And in that time, 2015, became a flat earther because of it, and that drew me closer to God as well, knowing that it was creation. Because in Genesis, it doesn't sound like a globe, you know. But you always just took it for granted because that's what you were taught and indoctrinated. So through flat earth, I think, and through the things that we do, Bible study and all that, I'm getting a lot closer to God, you know. I mean, I've been saved, but I haven't been faithful, you know. But God is faithful. You know what I mean? He won't leave you. God's always faithful, and always remember that, you know. Philippians.
Yeah, only God was faithful, and we can't. There's no we can do it. It's all in His hands.
Yeah. Philippians 4:6 says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, and with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Jesus." And that's a good scripture that I think on a lot, because it tells you, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Just come to me. That's what it is. I'll give you peace. Do you know what I mean? So it's a case of just following Jesus, repenting, following Jesus, and trusting in the Lord, you know. And he's give us his word, as in Jesus. He's given the Holy Spirit to teach and guide us. And like, even though the Bible's changing, it still has the same meaning. It's still you can still read the Bible, and the Holy Spirit will guide you through it. You know, it is God's word, but it's not the word. You know, it's ink and paper. It's His word. It's His inspired word of God. You know. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Wow.
I mean, there's lots of stuff in between, but I'd be if you had to talk about everything, it'd be here far too long.
You could go for days, but
exactly.
I mean,
even what I've said now is just a a brief. That's quite brief. I actually thought I'd only last 10 minutes talking, but
But no,
that's
I
just
mean,
brief.
I've heard your testimony previously, like, and
Yeah,
it was
of course.
just as interesting to listen to again, and it just shows that, like, we are
God
sinners
loves
and we
you.
do bad things, and God is long suffering, and it looks out for you and it guides you, and sometimes some things that are bad are for a reason, to bring you
Yeah.
closer to God, and I don't mean that to sound in a bad way either, you know what I mean? But like, it's not all roses, is it? Finding God.
No, absolutely not. And like with me, I mean, a lot of people when they have conversion, you know what I mean, they have this spiritual kind of encounter. I never ever had that, you know. I just had to go by faith, and I prefer it kind of that way because it shows that I have faith, you know.
Well, no salvation's similar, is it? Everybody's different. Everybody's walk's different.
That's
It's
right.
but
That's
yeah,
right.
PJ, I don't, like some of them things, man. It's like, wow,
Mm.
I'd even deal with all that in your head.
Oh, it was
You know,
hard. It was hard. I mean, I knew when I went to jail, I knew that God was with me, even though I wasn't being faithful. I was sure of God, you know, I was sure. Like I say, it wasn't until Teen Challenge I got my knowledge from the Bible and stuff like that. And
well,
through that, I
I
mean, they're,
mean,
they're kind of charismatic. They're kind of charismatic. So it was the wrong kind of Christianity. But I used to pray for these things to fall down, pray in tongues. No, I did pray in tongues, but I never used to fall down and stuff, you know. But
well, I
I
truly
think God
believe,
now
PJ, that
protect me.
I truly believe that you won't be here, mate, if it weren't for the grace of God. So
Guaranteed,
thank,
guaranteed.
thank,
Look, all them times I
thank
should
you,
have died.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, I did OD once as well, and I got taken to hospital. I was unresponsive for half an hour. Obviously, I had my heart stopped for about 2 minutes or something, but I was unresponsive for half an hour anyway. So I have OD'd. That's the only OD I remember. But you can OD. Like you could gouch out in OD, and like just you come back, you don't even realize you've OD'd. You know what I mean? I've seen that happening plenty of times. I mean, I had another guy die in front of me, and I was scared that they'd try and get me in manslaughter again. But they said, "No, we're not looking for you." You know what I mean, sort of thing. Because he died in my room. I was like, "Wow, not again!" But I didn't inject him. That's the thing. And I just thought, "Oh no, what's going to happen now?" You know what I mean? And yeah, that's it. But yeah, sorry if
Well,
I'd gone into detail, guys, of about everything. We'd be here for a while. So
no,
yeah,
awesome testimony, PJ, and I want to thank you so much because sharing them things that are personal, and it's an
yeah,
hard thing to share anyway, to especially share it on YouTube.
exactly,
So I just
exactly.
thank you for doing that, and
It's all
and
right.
anybody who's listening, just like, God is love, and we're all sinners, and God comes to save sinners. So no matter how low you are in life or whatever, like it says in Bible, knock and the door shall be answered, seek and
Yeah,
you
you'll
shall
find.
find.
Yeah.
Like, so don't ever think that you're that low that you ain't got anybody, because God's there. He's just above us. Unlike what Globe Earth tries to tell you, vast universe. No, God's above us, and is waiting for you to call out to him. So let
Hi,
I,
Ryan. I'm
I
just
I just thought
finishing.
what's been spoke about tonight, blesses someone.
Hmm. And yeah, sorry guys, it wasn't fluent or anything. You know, sometimes I just forget these things. I don't do my testimony as and write it down because to me it just sounds like you're reading off a script, and it doesn't. I just do it. I'm not fluent. I'm not a brilliant public orator or anything like that. I can't. I'm not a public speaker, so I am a bit because usually when I'm on
Yeah,
YouTube, look, I'm
don't
just
don't worry
backing.
about it, man. That it's natural. If you'd have been reading
Of
off a
course.
script, then it'd be no good. It's like,
Hmm.
just
Exactly. Exactly.
how it is. Natural,
How you
honest,
doing?
Peter
How you
Pan
doing,
PJ.
Ryan? Don Logan, how you doing? It's good to see
Hey,
you.
Ryan.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I like to say this. Like I say, we could have gone to. Like I say, I'm no public orator, but it's a testimony, and it happened, and it's true. That's the best. That's the best I can do is just tell the truth about it.
Well, brilliant. And again, thank you so much for doing that, PJ. I suppose I'm gonna have to do mine at some point. Although,
That'd be cool. Look brilliant to yours.
I know I've told someone you like, but I don't know if I'm ready for a full blown another. I know I've done it once on you, but I don't know if I want to do it again yet. Like, 'cause it still cuts close to me. Like,
Yeah, Vicky.
but we'll see.
Yeah, Vicky. And PJ is his own biggest critic, which is true. Very, very true. She's right there. I do
Aren't we all
criticize myself.
our biggest critic, though? You know, but
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
you know, to do that and talk about things that you have done, like I can only commend you on it. Absolutely
Yeah,
amazing testimony for me. Like I say, there's no one testimony better than other because we've all been saved, haven't we? At the end of the day, so
exactly. We're saved by the grace of God. Can't
yeah.
do anything. You can't do any works to get saved. It's by the grace of God, and that's how good He is. He's faithful and truthful. You know, He doesn't lie.
Right.
He can't. It's impossible for Him to lie.
Yeah, right. We've been going 2.5 hours, and I'm sure you're gagging for a
Right.
drink, please. Yeah. So we're gonna end it there. I want to thank everybody for coming. Ryan, Don, Aaron, Matt, Vicky, obviously. I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah. So I
Cheers,
want to thank
guys.
you all for coming. Thank you all for listening. I hope it blesses somebody who listened. Remember, Jesus is the truth. If you want to take us on, Paul.
Yep. Amen. Thank you very much, PJ. It'll be an open panel next week, so just talk about anything that's on our mind. And thanks for joining, everyone, and may God bless you.